Chapter 1163. Not bad. If I can obtain this divine skill, maybe my Thundergang dragon flame could advance further. It's just that this blazing gold toad still shares its dwelling with another gold toad, golden-eyed fire ape, 3rd stage mid-level demon king. Its innate ability is a pair of fire golden eyes, unparalleled in attack, capable of piercing through illusions and discerning the weaknesses of others. This divine skill is also not bad. Right now I just happen to be lacking this kind of measure. Lu Chongqing continuously reviewed the profiles of demon kings within the Jade Slip. It must be said, the demon kings of the Myriad Beasts mountain range are no simple creatures, essentially earth-grade bloodline demon beasts with various innate divine skills, which are extremely enticing to him. Unfortunately, the Tai soul body can only use one blood essence spirit light to awaken, so he can only choose one of these demon kings. Besides himself, Lu Chongqing was also seeking out a suitable demon king and divine skill for his son, Lu Xian. Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly, 3rd stage mid-level demon king with a mutated bloodline, possesses 2 types of innate divine skills, with combat power comparable to that of a late-stage core formation great cultivator. At that moment, Lu Changsheng's heart stirred upon seeing the information about a certain demon king. This demon king had 1 offensive and 1 defensive divine skill each. And according to the information recorded on the Jade Slip, both divine skills of the Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly were top tier. Even late-stage core formation great cultivators find it difficult to subdue this Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly. Can I comprehend its 2 divine skills through the blood essence spirit light? Furthermore, since this Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly has dual divine skills, the probability of mastering its divine skills should also be much larger. Lu Chongqing pondered inwardly. Although it's highly probable to acquire the demon beast's divine skill through the awakening of the Tai soul body with blood essence spirit light, it's not a certainty. Sitage novel, Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. There's still a small chance of not mastering it. Lu Chongqing was tempted by this Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly, mainly thinking of awakening the Tai soul body for his son Lu Xian. After all, in his current state such dual divine skills were not very useful to him. But for his son, if he could master 1 offensive and 1 defensive divine skill during the foundation establishment stage, he would be an invincible existence. With my current abilities, it might be a bit difficult to subdue this Sun Moon Resplendent Butterfly. I might as well leave it for now as a future option. Lu Chongqing wasn't too anxious about his son's awakening with the blood essence spirit light. After all, the process of awakening the Tai soul body is perilous, and it's best done after foundation establishment. His son was still young, there was plenty of time. Since that's the case, let's first deal with this golden-eyed fire ape. After a long observation, Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged, planning to make a move on the golden-eyed fire ape once his condition had recovered. Although the opponent possessed the strength of a 3rd-order middle stage. As long as he could kill it, Lu Chongqing still felt moderately confident. If unfeasible, he could always just run away. 1.5 months later. Myriad Beasts Mountain Range, Divine Ape Ridge. This was the territory of the 3rd-rank demon king, the golden-eyed fire ape. Be careful. Dressed in the fate-defying robe with an invisible luster flowing around, Lu Chongqing released the 1,000 Faces puppet fox to lure out the golden-eyed fire ape. Then he would take the chance to make his move. Yes, master. The 1,000 Faces puppet fox nodded in response. Then with a swoosh it shot into the sky, a spiritual pressure of a 3rd-rank demon king radiating from its body, attacking randomly in all directions. Roar. Before long a roar echoed. A huge immense ape tens of feet tall, covered in pure gold hair and well-fanged with a potent aura, appeared. Its body covered in pure gold fur swayed in the wind, looking incredibly fierce. It had a pair of gleaming golden eyes, like 2 suns, dazzling and splendid, shooting out beams of scorching light, intense and daunting. Shoop! The 1,000 Faces puppet fox dodged these 2 beams of attack, causing them to strike a distant mountain peak, exploding violently and igniting raging flames. You are not from the demon race. Who are you and why do you provoke me, the king? The golden-eyed fire ape's chi blood surged, its pure gold fur appearing to be engulfed in a layer of crimson flame, fierce and domineering as it roared. You noticed that quickly? Lu Chongqing was surprised. not expecting the golden-eyed fire ape to instantly realize that the Thousand Faces puppet fox was not from the demon race. Initially, without the system's information, even he couldn't immediately tell that the Thousand Faces puppet fox was a puppet. But at this moment he did not hesitate, fully operating the 9 treasures Rui bone. After all, the Thousand Faces puppet fox was not adept at frontal combat. If it were to be injured by the golden-eyed fire ape, this trip would be a great loss for him. Boom boom boom. The 9 treasures Rui bone on his chest burst forth with resplendent divine light, elevating Lu Changsheng's physical body, mana, and divine sense like a volcanic eruption, his cultivation and magical power of first layer of golden core rising steadily. Golden core second layer. Golden core third layer. Golden core fourth layer. Golden core fifth layer. Yin Yang Qi grasp. A profoundly mysterious Yin Yang Qi burst forth from the top of Lu Changsheng's head, instantly transforming into an enormous hand imbued with Yin Yang Qi, spanning hundreds of feet, and bearing down upon the golden-eyed fire ape with overwhelming force. Damn humans! Golden-eyed fire ape's gaze immediately turned toward Lu Changsheng, and with a thunderous roar, the voice rumbled as if it were thunder, making one's qi blood churn and surge. The ape's towering stature suddenly swelled, resembling a towering flame-engulfed mountain, ready to tear apart the sky-obscuring yin-yang handprint. Shoo shoo shoo. Simultaneously 9 third-order talismans transformed into beams of golden light, sealing off the golden-eyed fire ape from all directions. 9-colored tribulation light. Facing this golden-eyed fire ape, Lu Changsheng never thought of subduing it as easily as he did with the Wind Thunder Hound, but intended to fight swiftly and decisively. Boom! Lu Changsheng's chest surged as if the sun was rising, shining upon the earth, emanating a 9-colored divine light. The divine light was deep and prison-like, sacred and splendid, composed of countless tadpole-like runes, filled with an aura capable of destroying all dharma, swarming before Lu Changsheng, making him appear akin to a divine deity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1164. Roar. As a demon beast, the golden-eyed fire ape's instincts were extremely sharp. It instantly sensed a dangerous tremor from Lu Changsheng and felt a chilling terror. Its pair of golden eyes suddenly filled with a fiery red light, burning the skies, attempting to break free from the yin-yang hand and dodge this strike. Sar the novel, IR. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But in addition to the yin-yang qi grasp, there were also 9 third-rank suppression talismans and the Thousand Faces puppet fox. The Thousand Faces puppet fox's charming pupils shone with an enchanting luster, continuously disturbing the golden-eyed fire ape's mental spirit. Its snow-white fox tail twisted and rose, several meters in size, emitting a powerful and surging great magical power pressing down on the golden-eyed fire ape. Her main methods are charm and illusion, but that does not mean she has no combat power. At this time, Lu Changsheng's expression was indifferent, like a true immortal descending to earth, stepping towards the golden-eyed fire ape. The 9-colored tribulation light in front of his chest was intensely bright and dominant, annihilating all things in the universe, turning everything it passed into dust, and shining upon the golden-eyed fire ape. Boom boom boom. In an instant the golden-eyed fire ape's fur, burning with red flames, began to be extinguished under the 9-colored tribulation light, turning to ash, its flesh beginning to crack with pale golden blood seeping out. The endless tribulation light surged, runes densely packed as if grand sounds of the great Tao echoed, engulfing the golden-eyed fire ape, causing it to continuously roar and bellow. This wailing sound made countless demon beasts in the myriad beasts mountain range tremble with fear, crawling and howling, wondering why this demon king was making such sounds. What's happening? It seems like the roar of the golden-eyed fire ape king. Someone is fighting with it. Some cultivators hunting demon beasts in the mountain range couldn't help but look over. They only saw the mountain-sized golden-eyed fire ape enveloped by a brilliant 9-colored divine light, wailing and roaring. In an instant, everyone felt a tremor in their hearts, trembling uncontrollably. This aura was too terrifying and astonishing, making it seem as if the entire universe was trembling. Even from a great distance they felt an inexplicable pulse of dread. Some nearby Foundation establishment cultivators dared not look directly at the divine light, feeling a burning pain in their eyes. This process did not last long. Merely half a moment later, the golden-eyed fire ape howled sadly, its aura withering, its massive body gradually shrinking. The patterns of yin and yang flowed in the sky dome. A distinct big handprint thunderously descended, scooping out the enveloped golden-eyed fire ape in the nine-colored tribulation light. "Let's go." Lu Changsheng's face was somewhat pale, holding a small sphere with yin-yang energy in his hand, quickly entered the golden-eyed fire ape's cave mansion, swept through it, and then left directly without taking the origin of the spirit vein. It wasn't that he didn't want the spirit vein inside, but because he was greatly exhausted now and his body was under a heavy load. If a demon king or others were to arrive later, it would be very troublesome to be blocked inside the cave. So now he quickly swept through once, planning to find a place to recover his state first, and then come back to dig 3 feet into the ground. The golden-eyed fire ape king was suppressed? How long was that? Could this person be a nascent soul true lord? No, it should not be a nascent soul true lord, but a nascent soul grand cultivator. I just seem to see 2 figures, probably 2 nascent soul immortals. Many cultivators looking towards the now calm direction of Divine Ape Ridge were all shocked, trembling uncontrollably. This level of combat power, these kinds of techniques were simply astonishing. They had just resolved a 3rd-order demon king in such a short time. It's known that such a demon king, compared to a same-rank cultivator, is basically on a higher level. Hurry up and leave. If this person continues to hunt demon kings in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, it will surely provoke a group attack by the demon kings, or even a beast tide. Some people, seeing this scene, immediately gave up hunting demon beasts and prepared to leave the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Because once they provoke the demon kings to actively surround and kill humans, they are bound to die, completely unable to escape the Myriad Beasts mountain range. As for the commotion he caused, Lu Chongqing was not aware. He had never been to the Myriad Beasts mountain range before, and his understanding of it was limited to its general situation, but not the details. Moments later, Lu Chongqing, with the assistance of the Thousand Faces puppet fox, slaughtered a 2nd-order great demon, occupied its cave mansion, immediately set up the minor 5 elements inversion formation, and took several prepared elixir medicines. Boom boom boom. Lu Changsheng's musculoskeletal system made crackling sounds, his mana retreating like a tide, his face not only pale but also his aura somewhat weakened. Under normal circumstances, such a reinforcement by the 9 treasures Rui Bone would not cause him too great a burden. But under such reinforcement, fully deploying the 9-colored tribulation light, even though he had 3rd-order body refining, still imposed a certain load on him. And if it wasn't for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus acting as his 2nd Dantian, his mana would have almost been drained. If I don't go all out, this is roughly my limit in combat power. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath, holding 2 high-quality spirit stones and sat cross-legged. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1165. Myriad Beasts Mountain Range inside a mountain cave. Who? Lu Chongqing slowly opened his eyes, exhaling turbid air, his face rosy and full, his eyes bright with vigor, his pupils shifting with yin and yang, like the cyclical sun and moon. He lifted a hand and a small yin-yang ball appeared, transforming into a large, vague, terrifying body of a fierce creature. It was the body of the golden-eyed fire ape. Tai Chi soul body, fire golden eye. Lu Chongqing looked at the body in front of him, preparing to use this golden-eyed fire ape to awaken the Tai Chi soul body. The opponent's innate divine ability was extraordinary. He recognized the condition of the Thousand Faces puppet fox at first glance. If he could acquire this innate divine ability, it would not only help in magical duels, but also in exploring spirit veins and detecting dangers. Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Lu Chongqing opened his mouth and spewed out fierce red-purple flames that rolled out, forming a serpentine dragon-like shape with lightning arcs flowing through it. Refine. The Thunder Gang Dragon Flame enveloped the body of the golden-eyed fire ape, intending to refine it into blood essence spirit light. Boom boom boom. As the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame burned the body of the golden-eyed fire ape, a vaguely visible image of an ape screamed and roared within it. This was the soul of the golden-eyed fire ape. Blood essence spirit light, meticulously refined from the full-body essence blood and soul of a third-rank demon king. If the demon beast had died a long time ago and the soul had scattered, it would be impossible to refine the blood essence spirit light, or the refined blood essence spirit light would be flawed. Thus, to ensure the soul's integrity, Lu Chongqing acted the moment its life force faded and immediately captured it with the One Qi Grand Capture. Boom boom boom. The Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, like a divine furnace of thunder and fire, smelted the essence blood and soul of the golden-eyed fire ape into one. During this process, the flesh of the golden-eyed fire ape gradually withered. All the essence blood and soul slowly formed a cloud of red mist, shimmering with golden luster and fresh red blood of the golden-eyed fire ape barely visible. Lu Changsheng's expression was solemn, his demeanor dignified as he continuously formed gesture incantations, condensing the blood essence spirit light. Time passed unknowingly, and this cluster of blood gradually formed into an egg-sized radiant red gem-like agate divine marrow. The gem was radiant and splendid, shining brilliantly, filled with intense scarlet divine brilliance, and surging with a powerful life force that illuminated the entire cave dazzlingly. Blood essence spirit light, it's done. Lu Chongqing looked at the gem in front of him, his eyes sparkling with joy. He had already been clear on the method to awaken the Tai Chi soul body. Considering his environment, Lu Chongqing slapped the Yin corpse bag, releasing the endless guileful head for an additional layer of protection. After completing the preparations, Lu Changsheng's brow shone as he implanted the blood essence spirit light into the sea of consciousness of his own forehead. Buzz. Blood essence spirit light entered the sea of consciousness at the center of his forehead, instantly boiling like hot water, diffusing endless crimson radiance, with a faint apparition of a golden-eyed fire ape. Lu Changsheng's soul, sharp as a sword, actively collided with the blood essence spirit light in front of him. Boom! In an instant, the blood essence spirit light exploded with blood radiance, crimson light flowing like a fire cloud in all directions, filling Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness. Hiss hiss hiss. In the sea of consciousness, the peach blossom gu seemed provoked, awakening and gazing towards the apparition of the golden-eyed fire ape. Lu Chongqing immediately suppressed the peach blossom gu, not letting it interfere with the awakening of his Tai Chi soul body. Boom boom boom. The blood essence spirit light, like a red sun, shone brilliantly in Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness, causing his soul to feel a scorching, piercing pain. Having experienced the awakening of the blood talisman spiritual body before, Lu Chongqing knew such pain was inevitable. He circulated the sun-moon samsara technique to withstand this intense pain. Buzz. After an indeterminate time, Lu Changsheng's soul gradually formed into a tiny human shape, surrounded by winding golden runes that appeared and flowed with radiant, mystical light. At this moment, the blood essence spirit light found a pour-out point and actively surged towards the tiny soul figure. Lu Changsheng's soul faced scorching pain, actively absorbing the power within the blood essence spirit light. Gradually, his soul was enveloped in blood radiance, forming a splendidly crystalline blood-red cocoon. As the blood radiance of the blood essence spirit light continued to flow, the blood cocoon grew larger, nurturing and stimulating Lu Changsheng's soul, making him feel comfortable yet pained. Xianxia the Novelier. T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Aside from his soul, during this process Lu Changsheng's flesh, meridians and dantian were all illuminated in red under the influence of the blood essence spirit light, permeated with a mysterious aura. Though the Tai Chi soul body is a soul path spiritual body, this awakening process also sanctifies and enhances the physical body. Boom boom boom. Although enveloped by the blood essence spirit light, Lu Chongqing could still see his surroundings and his bodhi's condition. The entire person sat motionless, his countenance dignified and solemn, his body completely suffused in red, his blood roaring like rivers and seas, thunderously resounding. All over his body, his meridians, bones and internal organs vibrated in unison, like a divine weapon being forged, clanging sonorously, full of divine anomalies. Under this sanctification, Lu Chongqing felt that his 100 refinements treasure body art was about to break through. But now, as the Tai Chi soul body was awakening, he suppressed this thrill and focused on fully awakening the Tai Chi soul body. Time passed bit by bit. In Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness, the blood essence spirit light gradually dispersed, leaving only a large blood-red cocoon. This blood cocoon floated up and down in the sea of consciousness, wrapped in red mists, hazy and elusive, its surface seeming to ripple with mysterious patterns, filled with the essence of Tao. Crack. After an unknown duration, a crisp sound came from the blood cocoon. A thin layer of blood shell cracked and transformed into a waft of pure soul power that dissipated and nourished the sea of consciousness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1166. A moment later, another crackling sound was heard, accompanied by a layer of blood crust shattering. Xianxia the Null Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Crack, crack, crack. As time passed, the shattering became more frequent. Suddenly, the blood cocoon wrapped in a red glow, covered with cracks, numerous splendid and brilliant golden lights burst forth from the surface. Boom! The blood cocoon completely broke open, and within it appeared a tiny soul figure identical to Lu Changsheng. The small figure was flawless and untainted, with a golden luster flowing as if it was a divine being. The shattered blood cocoon transformed into streams of extremely pure soul power, nourishing Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness, making the golden small figure appear even more divine and solid. 4,000 zhang, 5,000 zhang, 6,000 zhang, 7,000 zhang, 8,000 zhang, 9,000 zhang. As Lu Changsheng's soul kept solidifying, his divine sense skyrocketed wildly. From the original 3,600 zhang, directly increasing to 9,000 zhang. Typically, for those in the late stage of core formation, divine sense is 7,000 zhang. 9,000 zhang, this has already reached the level of the peak of core formation. Is this the Tai soul body? Lu Changsheng's heart surged with joy as he quietly sensed the condition of his own soul. Apart from the divine sense, his soul was several times more condensing and pure compared to before. This meant that he had a considerable resistance against techniques such as illusion, charm, intimidation, and other soul attack methods. Unless a nascent soul true lord attacked, ordinary nascent soul cultivator's soul attacks would hardly be effective against him. And when he used his own soul-based techniques and divine consciousness secret techniques, the power and effect would also be greatly enhanced. Now when I deploy a talisman formation, I could probably achieve myriad talismans ascent. Lu Changsheng felt that the state of his soul and his mental state were unprecedentedly good. Even with his eyes closed, he could perceive the world with exceptional clarity. With a single thought, he was able to clearly capture the presence of the endless guileful head, thousand faces puppet fox, the small reversed 5 elements array, and even the subtle essence of the flowers and plants beyond the mountain range. Even the array formation spiritual light of the small reversed 5 elements array seemed not so difficult in front of his eyes. Given time and thought, he would be able to understand it and enter the threshold in no time. This is the advantage of a pure soul. Lu Changsheng had always been aware of the benefits of divine sense for cultivators. But for the soul side, he never had a distinct perception. At this moment, having awakened the Tai Chi soul body, he now understood that a pure soul not only strengthens the soul but also makes perception terrifyingly sharp. During daily combat and cultivation practice, through the soul he could observe many situations difficult to capture or discern with the naked eye. Eyes. Just then Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat and his eyes opened abruptly. His bright, shining eyes opened like torches, with a golden luster, resplendent and radiant, projecting 2 golden beams. His eyes could directly see through the cave's stone walls to the outside, and even vaguely discern in that direction was a towering presence filled with demon qi. Is this the golden-eyed fire ape's fire golden eye? Lu Changsheng's heart was filled with surprise. Then he turned to look at the 1,000 faces puppet fox guarding the cave entrance. With the golden luster flowing in his eyes, capable of piercing through falsehood, he saw that the other's form and appearance were disguised and the aura of demon power was not right. Neither pure demonic power nor pure mana. Looking at the small reversed 5 elements array, he could vaguely make out the flow and the weaker points of the formation's qi. Such a remarkable innate divine ability. If others possessed this divine ability, they could also see through my disguise. Lu Chongqing then realized that his current disguise would probably be impenetrable to ordinary true pill masters. But if their eyes and pupil skills reach an extremely high mastery, they could see his true form, so he still had to be cautious. However, Lu Chongqing guessed that the effectiveness of his eyes was not simply due to the golden-eyed fire ape's innate divine ability. It's also because of his long-term dual cultivation with Lu Miaoyun. Their eyes, equivalent to being constantly baptized by luminous sweet dew, have long been extraordinary, resulting in such astonishing effects. If I continue wiping my eyes with luminous sweet dew when I get back, can I enhance the effect of this divine skill even further? Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart, very much looking forward to it. With this innate divine ability, surveying spirit veins and harvesting the spiritual vein origin will be much more convenient too. Lu Changsheng's eyes sparkling, he activated the fire golden eye while also circulating the origin spirit pupillary art. Suddenly he saw glimpses of spiritual mechanism, which allowed him to roughly understand the spirit mechanism of the land, thus finding spirit veins and spirit mines. This innate divine ability is indeed very fitting for me. A faint smile appeared on Lu Changsheng's face as he stood up, feeling that his physical body was also much tougher and stronger than before, ready to break through the 10th layer of the 100 Refinements treasure body art. But he was not planning to break through now. This trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range he planned to return within a year. But now just hunting 2 demon kings has almost spent half a year. If he were to break through the 100 Refinements treasure body art and consolidate, the year would have passed by. Time to get to work. Lu Chongqing was full of energy and vigor, feeling as if his strength was inexhaustible. He planned to take advantage of his current state to hunt a few third-rank early-stage demon kings and spirit veins, make a trip to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, then return early. As for his son Lu Qingxian's Tai Chi soul body, he was not in a rush before, planning to deal with the sun-moon resplendent butterfly, and now he's even less so. Because during the awakening process just now, he realized that awakening the Tai Chi soul body using the blood essence spirit light puts great pressure on the person awakening. If they can't withstand it, they won't be able to obtain the innate divine ability from the blood essence spirit light, and it might even be dangerous. Hong Lian said that the Tai soul body can be awakened after attaining divine sense. But after Lu Changsheng's recent experience, he knows clearly that this is just a threshold. It can be said that awakening the Tai Chi soul body with a third-rank thunder would, giving birth to divine sense is enough. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1167. But if one awakens through blood essence spirit light, to gain innate divine skills from it, one still needs a strong soul. Moreover, the stronger the soul, the more the improvement from awakening a Tai Chi soul body. Therefore, Lu Chongqing planned to prepare more heavenly and earthly treasures for his son to nourish the soul, so he could spend more time cultivating his divine sense. Only by doing this, after foundation establishment and awakening the Tai Chi soul body, one could withstand the pressure of blood essence spirit light and most likely gain innate divine skills. This is what a family legacy is about. Even though Hong Lian is a nascent soul true lord, knowing about Tai Chi soul body and how to awaken it, she is still not very clear about many of the details. Lu Chongqing sighed in his heart. If it were not for a father like himself to experiment with the spiritual body conditions for his children, how would the average family force know these key points? At this moment Lu Chongqing felt he was truly great. Without overthinking, his eyes gleaming with golden radiance, he looked at the underground spirit vein and began to excavate and collect the origin source of the spirit vein. A day later, Lu Chongqing had completely hewn off the small spirit vein underneath the little cave, collected the endless guileful head and thousand faces puppet fox, his fate-defying robe flowing with formless radiance, as if camouflaged into the void. He stealthily approached Divine Ape Ridge, planning to extract the spirit vein of Divine Ape Ridge. As soon as Lu Chongqing arrived at the outskirts of Divine Ape Ridge, through his divine sense, he detected a third-rank demon king's presence inside. What's going on? How is there another demon king? Lu Chongqing was surprised and immediately sent the thousand faces puppet fox out to probe the situation. Moments later, a roar sounded, accompanied by an earth-shaking rumble. A giant bear with a ferocious appearance, mountainous in size, appeared, bellowing at the thousand faces puppet fox. "This place is my territory. You're trespassing." Earth Demon Bear? It's taken the place after the golden-eyed fire ape was killed? Lu Chongqing understood the situation upon seeing this scene. Demon beasts do not require spirit veins as urgently as cultivators, but they do prefer to reside where spirit veins are abundant. Moreover, the higher the grade of the spirit vein, the faster the growth and maturation of heavenly and earthly treasures they plant. Since you've come to me, I'll not hold back. Lu Chongqing noticed this earth demon bear was only a third-rank early stage, its aura not even as strong as the wind thunder hound from before. Immediately taking advantage of its focus on the Thousand Faces puppet fox, he made his move. Knowing the relative strength of both sides, Lu Chongqing simply activated the 9 treasure jade rui slightly, boosting his cultivation level to nascent soul 3rd layer. Yin Yang Qi Grasp. 6 Desires Heart Demon Technique, Demonic Soul Binding. While using the Grand Capture Technique, Lu Chongqing operated the 6 Desires Heart Demon Technique, attempting to seal the Earth Demon Bear's perception. Charm. At the same time, the Thousand Faces puppet fox under Lu Changsheng's mental command simultaneously executed the Charm Illusion Technique, disturbing the Earth Demon Bear's mental spirit. Although demon beasts are not as vulnerable in their souls as human cultivators, they were still affected under such conditions. Boom. As the yin-yang hand suppressed and captured the Earth Demon Bear, Lu Changsheng's chi blood surged mightily, his 3rd-tier physique fully recovering. Surrounded by Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, he stormed towards the Earth Demon Bear and punched furiously, directly extricating the massive demon core from its belly. Ow! With a mournful cry, the Earth Demon Bear was immediately detained by the yin-yang chi grasp, forming a yin-yang small ball. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing grabbed the small ball and immediately entered the cave, laying down a small reversed 5 elements array to start extracting the origin source of the spirit vein. Half a month later. Screech. A shriek pierced the heavens as Lu Chongqing vanquished a fire phoenix-tailed sparrow. This trip's gains left Lu Chongqing exceptionally delighted. Because the fire mulberry tree resided by the fire phoenix-tailed sparrow happened to be a 3rd-tier spirit plant. This was the first time Lu Chongqing harvested a heaven and earth spiritual plant by his own effort, which filled him with immense joy. Immediately he used yin-yang magic power to seal the fire mulberry tree, preserving its vitality, and stored it in the spirit plant bag. Then he began to excavate the origin source of the spirit vein underneath. Half a day later. Roll, roll, roll. A sound of earth-shaking commotion arose, alongside the thunder of a myriad of beasts stampeding and bellowing roars. What's going on? Although Lu Chongqing was fully engaged in intercepting the spiritual vein origin, his soul was so strong that he could multitask with ease. He immediately activated his fire golden eye, and his eyes shone with a bright golden luster, looking through the mountains and stone walls towards the outside. He suddenly saw countless demon beasts rushing in his direction. In the distant sky, there seemed to be a golden eagle and a black hawk lurking with terrifying auras. It seemed as if a mountain was moving towards him. What's happening? They couldn't possibly be coming for me, could they? A vague sense of unease crept into Lu Changsheng's heart. After all, his location was deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range where few other cultivators ventured. In such circumstances, why would there be so many demon beasts moving towards him? Moreover, most demon kings didn't get along with each other. Under normal circumstances they shouldn't be traveling together. But both the Golden Eagle and the Black Hawk seemed to be 3rd-rank demon kings. While Lu Chongqing was pondering, he saw the moving mountain suddenly soar into the sky, which turned out to be a golden gigantic ape holding up the mountain, hurling it in his direction. Fuck, it really is coming for me. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng's face changed and he did not hesitate to gather up the mountain and river cauldron spirit sealing nail, Thousand Faces puppet fox, and the small reversed 5 elements array. The fate-defying robe shimmered with invisible brilliance as his entire being turned into a rainbow light that shot away. Although he could instantly kill 3rd-rank early-stage and middle-stage demon kings, and even had the confidence to fight a 3rd-order late-stage demon king, his arsenal consisted of heavy-hitter techniques, which made it difficult to take on multiple enemies at once. Moreover, the current situation clearly showed that his hunting of demon kings had stirred up significant trouble, drawing the attention of the demon kings of the Myriad Beasts mountain range, who teamed up to move against him. In this situation, any decrease in his condition would spell trouble. Back when he experienced the soul path dreams, Lu Chongqing had felt this kind of pursuit. Although it was just a dream, the mountain range within the dream was probably composed of the myriad beasts mountain range from Yun Wansheng's memories. So in such circumstances his only option was to flee. Boom! The mountain smashed into the peak where Lu Chongqing had just been standing, causing a thunderous roar that brought the mountain crashing down, kicking up terrible reverberations. Screech! In the sky dome above, the golden eagle and the black hawk locked onto Lu Chongqing, screeching sharply, their cries turning into ripples that seemed to assault his soul. Fortunately, Lu Chongqing's divine sense was strong, and with the awakened Tai Chi soul body he wasn't affected by the sonic attacks. But the golden eagle and the black hawk were both third-rank demon kings, extremely fast, reaching Lu Chongqing's position in the blink of an eye. Teleportation talisman. Upon seeing this, Lu Chongqing did not hesitate and produced a jade talisman that glowed purple, immediately crushing it. Suddenly his entire being vanished from 100-mile radius. 100 miles away, ripples appeared in the space. A middle-aged man wearing a mystic robe, with a dignified and majestic face and a tall and straight posture, suddenly appeared. Lu Chongqing steadied himself, and his fate-defying robe immediately flowed with an invisible luster, concealing his aura and rendering his whole person hidden in the void. So the novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I've only killed 4 demon kings and I've already been noticed? Lu Chongqing thought about the situation, frowning slightly. If that was the case, it seems I'll have to relocate to a further area. Otherwise, every time I fight a demon king and before even fully seizing the spirit vein, another demon king would find me, making my efforts futile. Immediately afterward, Lu Chongqing took out Venerable Wuxia's map of the Myriad Beasts mountain range to observe his general location, planning to move to a more distant area. At this moment Lu Chongqing looked around, his brow slightly furrowed. In a 100-mile radius, tall mountains stretched straight into the clouds. As a dragon seeker, he immediately noticed that the terrain of this mountain range was extraordinary. Right away, Lu Chongqing activated his fire golden eye and observed carefully with the origin spirit pupillary art. A moment later he discovered that the land's energy was extraordinary. It was very likely that there was a large spirit vein below or some rare heavenly and earthly treasure. Shall I take a look? If there's a large spirit vein and I can intercept it completely, I could return from this trip with full rewards. Lu Chongqing felt tempted. Seeing that the previous demon kings hadn't followed him, he decided to investigate the area. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1168. Lu Chongqing's eyes were bright and penetrating, cutting through illusion as he continuously observed the spiritual mechanisms within the mountains. The more he looked, the more he realized that this mountain range was not simple. Each peak was like a section of the azure dragon's spine, connected together as if a dragon lay coiled. According to the dragon-seeking art, such terrain belongs to a dragon vein. There must be a large spirit vein here, or perhaps even rarer heavenly and earthly treasures. However, such a spirit vein, why hasn't it been occupied by a demon king? Lu Chongqing, observing the terrain before him, furrowed his brows, feeling that something was amiss. He took out the jade slip map of Venerable Wuxia to compare, and this area did not have any special marks on it. What's going on here? Perplexed, Lu Chongqing's eyes flowed with a golden light as he looked around, yet he saw no danger in this terrain. After pondering for a moment, he arrived at one of the peaks and released the seeking spirit mouse. See if there are any treasures or dangers here, Lu Chongqing told the seeking spirit mouse. This kind of treasure-seeking mouse was not only keenly sensitive to the chi of heavenly and earthly treasures but also very alert to danger. If there was danger, it would be the first to sense it. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Upon hearing the words, the seeking spirit mouse nodded and bowed, then sniffed around and dashed in one direction. Lu Chongqing followed distantly behind. After traveling more than 10 li, he saw ahead a valley filled with many spiritual fruit trees and a group of pitch-black furred monkeys. What kind of monkeys are these? Lu Chongqing did not recognize these monkeys and wondered what kind of demon beasts they were. But he roughly made out that their strength was mostly at the first grade and second rank, belonging to herd-living demon beasts. The seeking spirit mouse looked at the distant monkeys with fear and didn't dare to approach. After carefully observing for a moment, Lu Chongqing decided not to attack the monkeys. After all, once he made a move and caused a commotion, the demon king chasing him would detect it and come here immediately. He let the seeking spirit mouse continue to search for other treasures in spirit vein qi. Wandering through the mountain range, although he did not encounter the demon king, he saw many demon beasts and Lu Chongqing gradually felt at ease. After all, the presence of demon beasts living here indicated that there was nothing wrong with this mountain range. If it were silent, without a single demon beast, he would turn and leave immediately. Several days later, the seeking spirit mouse arrived in front of a cave entrance. It indicated that there was a rich spiritual mechanism inside, but also a dangerous aura. Lu Chongqing, using his fire golden eye and origin spirit pupillary art, immediately saw a surging spiritual mechanism in the cave before him. He released the Thousand Faces puppet fox to enter the cave with him. Upon reaching the depths of the cave, Lu Chongqing saw many wild beast skeletons and a dark gold treasure tree entwined with flame vines. Is this the golden fire vine tree? After studying heaven and earth spiritual plants for a long time, Lu Chongqing immediately recognized the treasure tree before him and was overjoyed. Unexpectedly, not long after he had acquired a fire mulberry tree, he now encountered a golden fire vine tree. He really had immense fortune. However, the next moment he heard a faint sound. Many black ants, the size of soybeans and shimmering with a black firelight, emerged from beneath the skeletons and the golden fire vine tree, flying towards him. Iron fire ants. Seeing these ants, Lu Chongqing's expression shifted from surprise to delight. Iron fire ants were a type of gregarious odd insect that liked to live in scorching environments, feeding on metal or stones. On ordinary days, a few or even dozens of them were insignificant and could be easily killed by energy-refining cultivators. However, these odd insects became imposing when swarming in numbers reaching thousands, which could be extremely fierce. Banded together with their terrifying attack power, penetrating strength, fire poison and solid defense, they were practically comparable to fire attribute magical treasures. Even nascent soul immortals would find it troublesome to deal with such swarms of iron fire ants. Besides, iron fire ants were also famous for one thing: they could be refined into a rare material called refining crystal. When refining crystals were added in small amounts to magical treasures, the items would become much more durable and hard to destroy or wear down. Apart from magical treasures, structures like palaces and spirit boats and spiritual vessels also could contain this refining crystal. Iron fire ants require very harsh living conditions. These iron fire ants must be surviving thanks to this golden fire vine tree. This swarm of iron fire ants could be collected and raised by Xianxia, which would come in handy when I refine my magical treasures, as the refining crystals could be useful. Lu Chongqing, looking at the swarming thousands of iron fire ants before him, emanated the yin-yang mysterious divine light all around him, enveloping his whole body tightly, and then reached out with his hand. The yin-yang energies transformed into a hand as light as mist, sweeping up all the iron fire ants in a rolling motion, and slowly gathering them into a yin-yang small ball. Hum hum hum, S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Nevertheless, as soon as the 1 Qi grand capture imprisoned the iron fire ants, many chose to self-destruct, emitting a destructive fire poison that made the yin-yang small ball tremble. It is said that iron fire ants are difficult to tame, and will choose self-destruction when faced with a threat to their lives, which can only be raised and bred from their eggs. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing realized that it was impractical to try to take these iron fire ants back for cultivation. He immediately invoked his mana, extinguishing the life force of the ants within. After all, if these iron fire ants self-destructed, he would end up with nothing. By actively subduing them, he could later refine some refining crystal. I wonder if these iron fire ants have eggs. After subduing all the iron fire ants, Lu Chongqing turned his gaze to the pile of bones on the ground and began searching. But after clearing all the bone piles, there was nothing but many remnants or exoskeletons shed by the iron fire ants, with no ant eggs to be found. There's a reason why refining crystals are so rare and precious. Lu Chongqing sighed and then set about slowly extracting the golden fire vine tree. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1169. When he uprooted the golden fire vine tree, he immediately saw many tiny iron fire antlings, as well as blackish ant eggs the size of rice grains. Are these iron fire ant eggs? Lu Chongqing was surprised and delighted to see these antlings and eggs. Then with a faint smile on his lips he said, "That's right, iron fire ants like scorching areas. Naturally they would reside beneath this golden fire vine tree." Lu Chongqing raised his hand and performed the yin-yang qi grasp, capturing all the iron fire ants. Seeing that these larvae did not choose to self-destruct like the previous iron fire ants, Lu Chongqing breathed a sigh of relief. He put all the larvae and eggs into the spirit beast bag, and then used his divine sense to check for anything that might have been missed. Beneath the golden fire vine tree, he observed numerous densely packed holes, which were likely traces left by the iron fire ants burrowing in. These holes had strands and threads of rich spiritual energy flowing out of them. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The seeking spirit mouse pointed below, indicating there might be a spirit vein, but also an unknown danger. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed, shining with a golden sheen. He activated the origin spirit pupillary art and saw a stream of pure, rich spiritual mechanism flowing below. There was a high probability of exceptional spiritual objects or the presence of a spirit vein. Dig. Lu Chongqing immediately set up the small reversed 5 elements array at the entrance of the cave to cloak their presence, then began digging towards the underground spirit vein. Several hours later, after penetrating multiple layers of rock walls, Lu Chongqing saw an indistinct array pattern laying deep underground, which sealed everything beneath solidly, making it impossible to dig further. Has someone discovered the spirit vein below and heavenly and earthly treasures, and set up an array in advance? Lu Chongqing furrowed his brows, somewhat shocked and amazed. Unexpectedly, there was an array placed below. Although he was not an array master, he had some understanding of arrays. It was clear that such an array was set up by someone. Moreover, although the array was sturdy, there were moments when it seemed barely there, with pure rich spiritual energy leaking out, indicating the array had existed for too long and had undergone some mishaps, becoming damaged. Previously, I felt there was an issue with this terrain, like an azure dragon coiling here. Now, there's an array pattern beneath this terrain. Could it be the work of a feng shui master or a dragon seeker? Lu Chongqing contemplated in his heart. The more he thought, the more he felt that this mountain range was not simple. He suspected there might be some relics or a cave mansion below. Although he was not very interested in relics and cave mansions. But since he had come all the way here and the relics were right in front of him, it was somewhat unbearable not to explore. Additionally, there was likely a large spirit vein inside which he just couldn't bear to give up. Such array patterns might be difficult to break with brute force alone. Lu Chongqing looked at the array pattern in front of him, trying to activate it with mana. The array pattern immediately shimmered with spiritual light, stirring up ripples and repelling him. Then Lu Chongqing fully activated the fate-defying robe, with streams of Dao patterns flowing around him, attempting to pass through the array pattern with the help of the robe. But the fate-defying robe could only traverse arrays below the 3rd rank. Even though the array in front had existed for a long time and underwent some mishaps, it was still above the 3rd rank, preventing him from passing through directly. Since this array has shown irregularities, there must be a weak point, a flaw. As long as I can find the flaw, I should be able to get in. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He thought to himself. And he had a prohibition-breaking talisman in his hand. If he found the flaw, the weak point, and then struck it with the prohibition-breaking talisman, he might have a chance to enter with the help of the fate-defying robe. Let's work. Lu Chongqing said to the seeking spirit mouse, while his eyes shimmered with golden radiance, looking to see where spiritual mechanism leakage was most significant. The more spiritual mechanism leakage, the more the array showed signs of damage. After spending 3 days, Lu Chongqing finally found a weak flaw around the array pattern in the stratum. He put the seeking spirit mouse back into the spirit beast bag, released a prohibition-breaking talisman, and in the instant the spiritual light flashed, the fate-defying robe flowed, and he suddenly traversed the array pattern. The very moment Lu Chongqing entered a vast underground palace. This place was extremely vast, endless at a glance, appearing naturally formed, showing no signs of human intervention. But Lu Chongqing immediately realized something was off here. Spiritual energy. The spiritual energy here was too dense, misty like fog flowing and pervading through the air. Until now in his cultivation, Lu Chongqing had never experienced such dense nature's spiritual energy, feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Indeed, it's a third-order spirit vein. Someone has locked all the spirit veins under this mountain range here. Lu Changsheng's expression shifted slightly, instantly understanding what was going on. His eyes glittered as he looked at the deathly still underground palace, heading towards the source of the nature's spiritual energy, the direction of the spirit vein origin. This underground palace is too vast, isn't it? Lu Chongqing was very cautious, moving slowly, feeling that this underground palace was simply boundless, like a labyrinth. He didn't know how much time had passed when he finally approached the source of the spirit vein. But ahead there was no road, a vast abyss lay across the path. The misty spiritual energy was gushing out from the abyss right in front of him. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but feel astounded. Knowing that he had come to this underground palace, which was supposed to be subterranean. Yet such a massive, unfathomable abyss existed below ground level, truly startling. So the novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What kind of terrain is this? At this moment, Lu Chongqing felt that his top-tier second-rank dragon-seeking technique was insufficient. Somehow he couldn't understand why the situation before him had occurred. He even doubted whether the azure dragon coiling terrain he previously saw in the outer world was influenced by the current situation below, thus forming such a pattern. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1170. Lu Changsheng's eyes shone with a golden light as two golden beams pierced through the darkness, peering into the abyss below to discern what was happening. In the dark abyss, the origin of the spirit vein surged and rolled, with a hint of something crystalline and sparkling barely visible. A coffin? It was at this moment that Lu Changsheng's pupils abruptly contracted. Within the abyss he saw a crystal coffin floating up and down, its surface glistening with a crystal sheen. All of the spirit vein's origin sources are nurturing this crystal coffin? Lu Chongqing faintly discerned the situation and was shocked in his heart. This was no small endeavor. Someone had locked onto a third-order spirit vein to nurture a coffin. What is inside this coffin? Lu Changsheng's heart was filled with shock and suspicion. Although the coffin appeared to be made of crystal, it was impossible to see within. Even his fire-golden eye could not penetrate the crystal coffin to see what lay inside. A corpse, perhaps? Lu Chongqing speculated. But if it were a corpse, judging by the array patterns and the state of the underground palace, it would show signs of a very long passage of time. Even if it's not tens of thousands of years old, it is at least 1,000 years old. Over such time even a nascent soul true lord would turn into a mere cupful of dust. Could someone be using this method for corpse refinement? If it's corpse refinement, wouldn't the master refiner themselves have turned to ash by now? Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly as he continued to speculate in his heart. He also suspected that there might be some sort of heaven and earth spiritual object inside. After all, in the cultivation world, some people have eccentric tastes, and using a coffin to store treasures is not abnormal. Lu Chongqing considered whether to be nosy and check the state of this ancient coffin. Forget it, let's just put the coffin aside for now to avoid any unexpected incidents when opening it. After contemplating for a moment, Lu Chongqing decided to enter the abyss and intercept the origin of the spirit vein within. If he could intercept the spirit vein's origin from below, his gains from this trip would be considerable. He raised his palm lightly, mana surged, forming an invisible but tangible great hand that reached towards the crystal coffin floating in the abyss. It's so heavy. The moment Lu Chongqing grasped the ancient coffin, he felt its weight as heavy as a mountain. Yin Yang Qi grasp. He immediately used his divine skills. The great hand infused with Yin Yang Qi fiercely clutched the crystal coffin and lifted it upwards. Boom! The moment the ancient coffin was pulled from the abyss, there was a thunderous tremor, and the crystal coffin tipped over, spilling out a bone-chilling cold aura. A person? Lu Chongqing saw a woman lying inside the crystal coffin. Her whole body seemed to be formed from ice crystals, her skin was snowy white, and her beautiful face was covered with a thin layer of frost, hazy and indistinct, obscuring her true features. Yet it was still clear that she was a peerless beauty, her loveliness beyond description. Her body was exquisitely shaped, lying there quietly as if in deep sleep, yet also like an ice-cold corpse. A female corpse? Lu Chongqing stared at the woman in the coffin, his expression full of shock and disbelief. He had not expected to find an actual corpse inside the coffin. Moreover, from the lifelike and serene appearance of the other party, she resembled a sleeping beauty, seemingly not dead. What was going on? Had someone buried themselves here? A tender and pleasant faint moan came from the mouth of the female corpse. The frost on her jade-like body melted away, and her eyes slowly opened, full of bewilderment and confusion. Alive? Lu Chongqing was greatly startled upon hearing this voice. He had not expected the corpse inside the coffin to wake up. The woman was supposed to become a deity of transformation but could survive for thousands of years. But there was no trace of magical power or spiritual pressure on this woman, only a cold, frosty aura. At the same time, Lu Chongqing got a clear view of the female corpse's appearance. She looked about 16 or 17 years old, her face delicately beautiful, beyond the description of bringing down cities and nations. Her exceptional beauty exhibited an immature tenderness, like that of green water, naive and unmindful. Her eyes, dreamy and illusory, seemed to have just awakened, pure and devoid of any blemishes, like a spring in a tranquil mountain. Her skin was very white, not the white that outshines frost and snow, but a pale white lacking blood color, ghastly white. Her lips, too, were colorless, making her overall appearance seem frail and pitiful. Lu Chongqing, who had seen numerous stunning beauties in the world, couldn't help but feel a twinge of heartache for the woman before him. This was the world's tolerance and care for beautiful things. And he, Mr. Lu, always had a bit more care for the beauty of the world. Daddy, the woman, confused and dazed, saw Lu Chongqing in her hazy eyes. There was a hint of closeness in her gaze as if sniffing like a kitten, then she tried to throw her arms around him. Holy shit! Although Lu Chongqing felt the woman in front of him had a breathtakingly beautiful appearance and looked softly pitiable, making one want to hold and protect her in their arms, he really hadn't figured out what was going on with the female corpse before him. His reason told him that there was something wrong with the woman before him, something big. If he got close, who knew whether there would be danger or not? Subconsciously, his great hand of magical power slammed toward her. Bang! See Teach Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Under Lu Chongqing's great hand of magical power, the female corpse was directly, boom, and sent flying, tumbling into the abyss. What the hell is this? Seeing the female corpse fly away after just one palm strike, Lu Chongqing was stunned and somewhat dumbfounded. Why was she so weak? Even a common corpse, if nourished in a place like this for 1,000 years, should be extraordinary, right? At this moment, the peach blossom goo in the sea of consciousness at his brow subtly throbbed, indicating to him, love luck. Receiving this sensation, Lu Chongqing was again bewildered, with a completely puzzled face. This is also considered love luck? Damn, you're really harsh. How come when others encounter an ancient cave mansion, they come across supreme opportunities and inheritances? While I just end up picking up girls, right? Woo. At this moment, faint whimpers and crying echoed from the abyss. Ooh. Daddy, it's so dark, Binger is scared. Lu Chongqing listened carefully, immediately recognizing it as the voice of the female corpse just now. The voice was filled with naivete and tenderness, sadness and pitifulness, suddenly making Lu Chongqing feel like he had bullied a little girl, riddled with a sense of guilt. What is this all about? Lu Chongqing was dumbfounded and speechless, truly unable to comprehend the situation before him. His eyes gleamed with a golden luster as he looked toward the abyss, and he immediately saw the female corpse crying pitifully and helplessly. Especially those innocent, baby-like eyes of hers, they seemed genuinely unfeigned. A moment later, Sai, who told me to be soft-hearted. Lu Chongqing let out a helpless sigh and approached the spiritual vein origin in the abyss. Daddy, Binger will be good and obedient. The girl's eyes, full of confusion and fear, looked at Lu Chongqing. Her lips moved as she spoke weakly and timidly. Lu Chongqing slightly furrowed his brow and said, I am not your daddy, what's your name? Not daddy. Hearing this, the girl's eyes filled with bewilderment and cluelessness. Then her eyes turned red, and with helplessness and pitifulness, she hugged Lu Chongqing and started sobbing loudly. "Does Daddy not want Binger anymore, Wu?" Lu Chongqing immediately felt a cold chill from the slender and graceful body of the girl hugging him. He lowered his head slightly, and as he looked at the sobbing, helpless girl in his arms, he saw that within her slightly parted lips, there were two sharp fangs. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1171. A Corpse Turned to Shadow? Xianxia the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng's heart jolted as he stared at the girl's sharp teeth. He placed his palm on her delicately sharp shoulders, mana flowing, to check her condition. He immediately saw that her body seemed to exist between life and death, circulating a dense and intense chill of cadaveric aura. However, this chill was different from his endless guileful head and Xiahou Wuo's the dark demon corpse. It had not a trace of shadowy nefariousness. It was purely a majestic force of profound yin. Moreover, he discovered that although the girl seemed fragile and pitiable, her body was extremely strong. Stronger than his third-order body refining, likely at the late stage of third-order body refining. No wonder she was unharmed after that strike just now, Lu Chongqing murmured in his heart, now certain the girl was a shadow corpse. This place was likely used by someone as a site for corpse refinement. What a grand scheme to lock down such a large spirit vein just for the purpose of refining corpses. But as a shadow corpse, she's too extraordinary, almost like a living person, Lu Chongqing marveled internally. Years ago, through the abyssal ghoul blossom, he acquired a heavenly corpse refinement technique from the memories of Xiahou Wuo. It contained many methods of corpse refining. Yet none of them made the refined corpses seem so vividly alive. Daddy, Binger will always be obedient. The girl continued to stare at Lu Chongqing, her eyes red and pitifully pleading. What's your name? Lu Chongqing let out a sigh and looked at the girl before him, asking aloud. Daddy, my name is Binger. With a perplexed face, the girl looked at him, her pure and flawless eyes somewhat timidly fearful, as if afraid Lu Chongqing would be displeased. Her eyes were innocent, like those of a young child, completely unbecoming of an adult. Lu Chongqing suspected that she had been sacrificed to become some type of shadow corpse, losing her previous memories, now as naive as an infant. And the first time she saw him, she had mistaken him for her father? Binger. Lu Chongqing muttered the name, then continued to ask, why do you call me Daddy? Because Daddy is Daddy. The girl looked aggrieved, her voice childlike and almost crying. It could soften even the hardest steel. Lu Changsheng's mouth twitched. He then softly asked, Binger, why are you here? How could I be here? Upon hearing this, the girl looked around, instantly becoming tense and frightened, hugging Lu Chongqing tightly and sobbing, Daddy, it's dark. Binger is scared. Binger will be very obedient. Lu Chongqing felt that it was completely impossible to communicate with her in this state. He lifted the girl to the abyss edge where there was light, and she instantly became less afraid, but still clung to him tightly like a kitten, unwilling to let go. Meanwhile, the peach blossom goo surged with a dense fortune of love luck, seemingly ready to advance to third-order peach blossom goo. Damn this love luck. Lu Chongqing looked at the delicate and beautiful body in his arms, like that of an adult, yet pure and flawless like a child, causing his face to twitch slightly. In such a situation, wouldn't he be a beast to take her in? Moreover, she wasn't human but a yin corpse. Mr. Lu definitely didn't have a fetish for whipping corpses. Not to mention, can a corpse even give birth? Her condition, it really is hard to say. Damn it, what am I thinking about? Daddy. At this moment, Binger nuzzled her forehead against Lu Changsheng's chest and softly called out with crystal-clear, flawless eyes full of dependency. I truly am not a beast. Lu Chongqing looked into her eyes and sighed helplessly. Might as well adopt her as a daughter and take care of her. Anyway, there are so many children at home, one more wouldn't make a difference. It wasn't the first time he had picked up a problematic girl like Bai Ling. Be good and wait here. Daddy has some things to attend to. Lu Chongqing patted the girl's head, spoke, and prepared to intercept the spiritual vein origin below. By intercepting the entire spiritual vein origin here, it was estimated that both by Lake Mountain and Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven's spirit veins could be promoted to the third rank. Daddy, don't leave Binger behind. The girl clung to Lu Chongqing, saying pitifully, I need to go down, aren't you afraid of the dark? Lu Chongqing said helplessly. Bai Ling wasn't this clingy in the beginning. But treating her as a lonely, innocent child, he could understand it. I'll be with Daddy. The girl slightly lifted her graceful head, gazing dreamily and pure at Lu Chongqing, speaking timidly. All right then. Lu Chongqing held the girl and entered the abyss, then performed a gesture incantation, illuminating the surroundings impeccably. Wow, Daddy, it's not dark anymore. Binger shaped her mouth into an O, her delicate little face immediately showing happiness, looking up at Lu Chongqing with admiration and awe. At home, Lu Chongqing immensely enjoyed such looks of admiration and love from his wives and children. But at this moment, the girl's gaze gave Lu Chongqing a sense of guilt, as if he was deceiving a naive girl. Stay put and don't move. Lu Chongqing spoke gently and then launched several spirit-sealing nails, vein-calming compasses, and the mountain and river cauldron, clashing his hands for the gesture incantation, and shouted, Origin Spirit Intercept Vein Technique. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the potent spiritual vein origin surged towards the mountain and river cauldron in the depths of the abyss. Quietly holding Lu Chongqing, Binger resembled a small cat, occasionally rubbing against him and sniffing with her little nose closed. As if Lu Chongqing's scent was particularly nice, making her feel comfortable. Lu Chongqing didn't mind this at all. After all, his immortal beauty technique, peach blossom goo and flawless heavenly fragrance body indeed had a lethal charm to others. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1172. Although he usually conceals and restrains himself, the closeness of the young girl likely has some influence on him. Time slowly passes. Daddy, Binger is sleepy. That day, Binger, the young girl, timidly whispered to Lu Chongqing, who was harvesting the spiritual vein origin. Sleepy. Lu Chongqing was startled. Although cultivators still use sleep to relax their mental, spirit and physical body after foundation establishment and core formation, generally if they don't wish to sleep, they can stay awake for years without feeling sleepy. However, considering her status as a corpse refinement and the peculiar situation, Lu Chongqing didn't say much and smiled. If you're sleepy, then sleep. Can't sleep, Binger said somewhat aggrievedly. Sitage novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing was speechless, wondering if he needed to tell her a bedtime story to help her sleep. But seeing the young girl's naive and innocent appearance, he patiently asked, Why can't you sleep? My body feels uncomfortable, Binger said softly, with her clear, flawless eyes appearing to have a faint greenish glow flowing within them. Lu Chongqing furrowed his brow upon hearing this and checked the girl's physical condition while multitasking. He immediately noticed that within the chilly corpse qi flowing through her body, there seemed to be traces of demonic qi and evil qi. What's happening here? Lu Chongqing was alarmed, unsure why such conditions were manifesting in her body. He speculated that the demonic qi and evil qi pervading her body might cause some unknown transformation. Corpse transformation? The term suddenly popped into Lu Chongqing's mind. In his knowledge, corpse refinement was often sinister and eerie. Yet despite being a corpse refinement, the young girl had no trace of sinister eeriness. Even the black yin qi flowing in her was stately and pure. However, the demonic qi and evil qi that were emerging from her body made her seem more like a true corpse refinement. How should this be handled? Lu Chongqing's eyebrows knitted together. Despite the young girl's current harmless, frail and pitiful appearance, a single punch from her might even be more than he can handle. If she underwent a corpse transformation and became fierce and terrifying, Lu Chongqing would certainly not keep her around. Why was there no issue initially and now this situation arises? Lu Chongqing continued to examine the girl's condition, noticing that the demonic qi and evil qi indeed originated from deep within her body. Sleepy. At that moment, as if a strike of electricity flashed through his mind, Lu Chongqing looked towards the girl's crystal coffin. Previously she had always been sleeping inside the coffin, and thus no issues arose. Now that she's feeling sleepy, could it mean she should continue resting inside the crystal coffin? The more Lu Chongqing thought about it, the more likely it seemed, and with a slight movement of his mental spirit, The great hand of magical power grasped the crystal coffin, and he said aloud, "Binger, lie down inside here to sleep." "Daddy." The young girl seemed to fear that once she fell asleep Lu Chongqing would no longer be there. "Daddy is always here," Lu Chongqing patiently said in a gentle voice. Upon hearing this, the young girl reassured herself and clumsily climbed into the crystal coffin, lying down inside. Lu Chongqing observed her condition and immediately noticed that the demonic qi and evil qi were being suppressed. Is that really it? It seems her condition is still unstable, or rather this corpse hasn't been fully refined, but because of my arrival the process was interrupted. Lu Chongqing secretly speculated, planning to take her home later and let Hong Lian check what exactly was happening with the girl. After all, he could not figure out what was wrong with her. Seeing that the girl seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep, calm and peaceful, Lu Changsheng's great hand of magical power helped to cover the lid of the outer coffin. Bang! Just as the outer lid was secured, a crackling sound was heard. Binger slightly lifted the lid of the coffin, revealing a small half of her head with her clear, flawless eyes pleadingly looking at Lu Chongqing and crying out, "Daddy, I'm here, I've always been here, rest easy now." Lu Chongqing softly responded, seeing her in such a state. "Emichum." The young girl slightly nodded her small head, and then with a bang the lid was closed again. In the abyss, silence once again prevailed. What in the world is all this? Lu Chongqing helplessly shook his head and then quietly continued to harvest the spiritual vein origin. 1 month later, Lu Chongqing almost completed the harvesting of the spiritual vein origin within the deep abyss and had filled up all the mountain and river cauldrons prepared. Crack! As a muffled sound echoed, the lid of the coffin was lifted slightly, and Binger, upon seeing Lu Chongqing still there, joyfully cried out, "Daddy! Binger, you woke up?" Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised as he thought she would be asleep for a long time. "Emichum." The girl propped up the lid and then moved to Lu Changsheng's side, snuggling up to him like a little cat. "Whoa, don't rub against me like that." Lu Chongqing felt her soft, plump figure and spoke out. Although the young girl had the mind of a child, her body was slender and graceful, already surpassing many 17 or 18-year-old girls. Such rubbing was nothing but a provocation to Mr. Lu. But looking into her clear, immaculate eyes, Lu Chongqing felt a wave of guilt, thinking that he was a beast for having such thoughts towards a girl with only the mind of a child. Still need to temper my mind. Lu Chongqing sighed, completed the last bit of spiritual vein harvesting and left with Binger. Naturally, he did not forget her crystal coffin, taking it along in his storage ring. He briefly examined it, finding the coffin to be an exotic treasure, solid and heavy, forged of unknown materials and filled with a cold and chilling aura. "Daddy, where are we going?" Binger, holding tightly to Lu Changsheng's arm, asked innocently. Assured that Lu Chongqing would not leave her, she no longer seemed timid and helpless like when she just woke up, but instead displayed an innocent and cheerful demeanor. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1173, Go home and deal with some matters along the way. Lu Chongqing spoke aloud. Now that the issue with the spiritual vein origin has been resolved, he planned to head directly to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. However, on the way there he intended to hunt a few demon kings, to give his children a physical baptism and to strengthen their foundations. Go home. Binger nodded happily, her voice clear and melodious like a spring in a secluded valley. The formation in the underground palace had been thoroughly destroyed since the spiritual vein origin was extracted by Lu Chongqing, now barely existent and about to fade away at any moment. Thus, Lu Chongqing and Binger easily left the underground palace. Daddy, such pretty flowers, daddy, birds." Although Binger had the mind of a child, she could still recognize flowers and animals. On the way, she exclaimed in surprise at every plant, tree, bird, or beast she saw, looking utterly astonished. However, she showed no signs of fear towards these demon beasts, which slightly surprised Lu Chongqing. After all, in the depths of the underground palace before, she had clearly shown fear of the dark, obviously quite worried. "Binger, aren't you afraid?" Lu Chongqing pointed at a huge and ferocious-looking shadow wolf in the distance and asked Binger. "Why be afraid?" Binger replied with a vacant and bemused look. "Not afraid, Sar the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing narrowed his eyes, pointed at the shadow wolf and said, "Go punch it." Upon hearing this, Binger immediately trotted towards the shadow. Roar. The shadow, seeing Binger approaching, immediately let out a roar, opened its fangs-filled ferocious maw and pounced at her. "Daddy!" The girl, faced with the charging shadow, suddenly looked scared and cried out loudly to Lu Chongqing for help. But instinctively swinging her tiny fists, she knocked the oncoming shadow wolf away, killing it instantly. For a moment, Lu Chongqing didn't know how to describe the scene. "Daddy, Binger is scared." Seeing Lu Chongqing approach, Binger immediately hugged him and said in a pitiful tone, "It's okay now, it's all right." Lu Chongqing gently stroked her head, thinking to himself that her condition was slightly better than Bai Ling's, but not by much. Wanting to rely on her to help fight and hunt demon kings, especially the sun-moon resplendent butterfly, seemed rather difficult. "Forget it, let's just proceed as usual." Lu Chongqing dismissed the idea of hunting the sun-moon resplendent butterfly right then, collected the dead shadow wolf, looked at the map on the jade slip, and with Binger flew towards Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Screech. However, just at that moment Lu Chongqing heard a commotion. He saw a dark shadow burst forth in the distance, emitting a screech that sent ripples through the air and charging towards him. "God damn it, they're still here?" Lu Chongqing hadn't expected the several demon kings that had been chasing him before to still be around. The starlight plate under his feet erupted with dazzling starlight, shooting off like a comet with a swoosh and disappearing into the sky. Roar, 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 screech, screech, screech. A chorus of screeches and roars filled the heavens and earth. Apart from the golden eagle and the gray hawk, there were now 2 more birds in pursuit of Lu Chongqing. And all the demon beasts in the Myriad Beasts mountain range howled relentlessly, tracking Lu Chongqing's trace. "Is this necessary?" Seeing the situation, Lu Chongqing was somewhat speechless. All he did was kill a few demon kings. Did they need to pursue him so relentlessly? Moreover, from the looks of it, these demon kings must have guessed he hadn't gone far, thus blockading the area. These demon beasts are indeed quite united. Lu Chongqing thought to himself and summoned another teleportation talisman. However, the place where the transference occurred wasn't ideal. The moment he appeared, a demon beast roared at him, prompting all the beasts in the Myriad Beasts mountain range to howl and notify the demon kings of his location. "Let's go." Lu Chongqing's mana surged, the starlight plate shone brightly, and he shot straight up towards the 9th heavenly gangwind layer like a comet. Then midair he crushed a teleportation talisman, instantly appearing 100 miles away, finally shaking off the tracking scent of the demon beasts. "In the future I should avoid coming to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Given how vengeful the demon beasts are, they might remember me for decades, even a century." Lu Chongqing mused internally, deciding that if he were to come to the Myriad Beasts mountain range to hunt demon beasts in the future, he would avoid this area as much as possible. Otherwise, he really didn't have that many third-rank teleportation talismans to waste. Hoo, Lu Chongqing with Binger in tow traversed across the 9 heavens gangwind layer. Several days later, as he was nearing Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he slowed down his pace, planning to descend and find a few demon kings and demon beasts to hunt, ending his journey through the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Just as Lu Chongqing was about to descend, he spotted a spirit boat in the distance. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1174. On the distant spirit boat 4 figures descended. Among them, a pale-faced, tall and frail-looking middle-aged man was unmistakably recognized by Lu Chongqing. "Fei Yu." Lu Chongqing's expression turned to one of shock and bewilderment upon seeing this middle-aged man. This trip to Azure Phoenix Immortal City was to clear ill-gotten gains, claim spoils of war and purchase heavenly and earthly treasures. He had also hoped to drop by and check on Li Feiyu, to see if Li had been affected by the recent upheaval in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Especially since there had been no word from him since the great upheaval and bloodshed in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Unexpectedly, Li Feiyu was here. His current condition seemed very off, like a prisoner, his complexion and aura discordant with the other 3. Xianxia the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The leader among the four who had just disembarked from the spirit boat was an elder in a yellow robe, with a childlike face, majestic looks, and a tall frame. The moment he looked up at Lu Chongqing, who was surrounded by bright stars in the sky above, his gaze met Lu Changsheng's. A nascent soul cultivator? White Peak Immortal, noticing Lu Chongqing looking in his direction, became alert and exuded an intangible aura of authority. He had important business in the Myriad Beasts mountain range this trip. The appearance of Lu Chongqing at this time made him doubt the coincidence. However, he did not take the initiative to attack. This was the Myriad Beasts mountain range. If the two were to clash, it could attract a third-rank demon king, or reveal the affairs of the ancient relic site, leading to a host of troubles and complications. Seeing that Lu Chongqing merely watched them without making a move, White Peak Immortal withdrew his gaze and said to the two behind him, "Be cautious." Yes. The two nodded in agreement, while Li Feiyu beside them remained expressionless like a puppet. The four cautiously headed in the direction of the ancient relic site. White Peak Immortal kept a vigilant eye on Lu Chongqing in the sky. What has happened to Feiyu? Lu Chongqing watched the four figures disappearing from view, with a slightly concentrated expression, not acting rashly. The four veiled their cultivation base aura. But with his awakening Tai Chi soul body and divine sense comparable to that of a nascent soul cultivator at the peak, he could roughly discern their conditions. The leader in the yellow robe was a nascent soul immortal. The two behind, one was a false core cultivator, the other at the late stage of foundation establishment. Such a force was not to be underestimated anywhere. Yet now the three of them were here in the Myriad Beasts mountain range with a listless Li Feiyu, which was quite bizarre. Could it be? Lu Chongqing looked in the direction of the four thoughtfully, and took out the map of the Myriad Beasts mountain range provided by Venerable Wuxia to compare. After a long examination, Lu Chongqing lowered his gaze to Binger, who was holding on to him tightly, occasionally rubbing her little head against his chest, and gently asked, "Binger, are you sleepy?" "Daddy, not sleepy." Binger immediately lifted her little head, her clear, unblemished eyes sparkling brightly as she spoke spiritedly. "No, you are sleepy, you need to rest." Lu Chongqing pinched her cold, delicate cheek and continued. All right, Binger will go to sleep then." Upon hearing this, Binger pouted slightly but obediently complied. "Good girl." Lu Chongqing descended, released the crystal coffin, let Binger lie down in it, then closed the lid and placed the coffin back into the spiritual pet bag. While it would be all right to place the coffin directly into the storage ring with the crystal coffin being present, the spiritual pet bag was still a safer option. Immediately, Lu Changsheng's fate-defying robe flowed with an invisible gloss. His entire being seemed to merge with the void as he stealthily pursued in the direction of the departing foursome. Though the four were far from him, with the acute perception of the Tai Chi divine soul, Lu Chongqing was still able to catch traces of lingering aura in the air and roughly discern the direction of the four. However, considering the leader in the yellow robe was a nascent soul immortal, Lu Chongqing remained very cautious and kept a safe distance. As he continued to delve deeper into the Myriad Beasts mountain range days later, Lu Chongqing saw what seemed to be a towering cliff in front of the valley. His eyes narrowed as he murmured, "Indeed, it's for this ancient relic site." Previously, Lu Chongqing had guessed that the three bringing Li Feiyu to the Myriad Beasts mountain range might be related to the treasure map of the ancient relic site he had obtained from a robber cultivator in his early years. After all, Li Feiyu was just an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. Other than this ancient relic site, what place would warrant a true nascent soul immortal's personal visit to the Myriad Beasts mountain range? Now, seeing the terrain around him somewhat resembling that recorded on the treasure map, Lu Chongqing felt more certain about his guess. Feiyu has been working in Azure Phoenix Immortal City all this time. Now that the Azure Phoenix Immortal has disappeared and the city is under the control of White Peak Immortal, could this yellow-robed elder be White Peak Immortal? Lu Changsheng's gaze sharpened as he pondered inwardly. In the Jiang country cultivation realm, there are not many nascent soul immortals, and most have well-known reputations. Since the major purge in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, the nascent soul immortal conspicuous in his public position is White Peak Immortal, who has challenged Azure Phoenix Immortal multiple times before. There are rumors that this White Peak Immortal is associated with U Country's immortal sex forces. He is said to be the figure U Country put forward to publicly divide the spoils of the immortal city. Even Azure Phoenix Immortal City was renamed to White Peak Immortal City. Just that all the cultivators had gotten used to the name Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and it wasn't easy to change the habit so quickly. It was still commonly referred to as Azure Phoenix Immortal City. If this person is indeed White Peak Immortal, then it's not simple. Lu Chongqing murmured in his heart. Even though White Peak Immortal was once defeated by Azure Phoenix Immortal in 3 strikes, as a veteran core formation, now openly controlling Azure Phoenix Immortal City, certainly is out of ordinary. Trying to rescue Li Feiyu under such circumstances would not be simple. But seeing the ancient relic site right in front of him, Lu Chongqing also sped up. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1175. After all, if the 4 of them were to enter the relic site, it would not be easy for him to track them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just as Lu Chongqing arrived at the valley in front of the stone wall, several dark and profound arrows, with trajectories difficult to capture, tore through the sky towards him. The nearly imperceptible sound of the arrows piercing the air also carried a faint, piercing screech, causing one's soul to ache. Even as someone with the Tai divine soul, Lu Chongqing felt a chill of unknown origin in his heart. 9 treasures Rui Bone, protective divine light. Lu Chongqing hastily activated the 9 treasures Rui Bone on his chest. Boom! In an instant, a dazzling and splendid radiance burst forth, circling around Lu Chongqing like the sun, moon, and stars, enveloping him at the center and casting him in a brilliance that made him seem like a divine being. Clang, clang, clang. A total of 9 dark black small arrows struck upon the protective divine light, with 7 of them being blocked outside by the divine light. However, 2 pierced through the thinly glistening divine light, landing behind Lu Chongqing, colliding with the light from his fate-defying robe and producing 2 sharp, piercing clangs of metal. How is this possible? Third order body refining. White Peak Immortal, observing secretly from afar, was shocked by this scene. It should be known that his set of 9 soul-breaker arrows was a compound magical treasure, with a power comparable to top-level magical treasures. Not only did it have a break technique effect, specializing in breaking through various protective barriers, it also induced a soul-shattering effect, causing those facing the soul-breaker arrow to lose their souls and become terrified with trembling mental spirits. With these 9 soul-breaker arrows, he had assassinated many nascent soul cultivators. But now, not only was the other party unaffected by the soul-shattering effect, the hastily summoned protective barrier was astonishingly powerful, blocking his 7 soul-breaker arrows. And the power of the last 2 soul-breaker arrows was deflected by the other party's third-order body refining. Phenomenal. This person is not to be underestimated. In this lightning-fast moment, Lu Chongqing also noticed the hiding place of White Peak Immortal. The other party had concealed his aura with an array device and exotic treasure, preventing Lu Chongqing from detecting it immediately. Boom! Knowing that this White Peak Immortal was no simple foe, Lu Chongqing spared no effort, his cultivation and magical power surging tumultuously within the 9 treasures Rui Bone, climbing step by step to the core formation 6th layer. He then performed the Yin-Yang Qi grasp. Yin-Yang energies intertwined to form a clearly patterned big hand with slightly curved fingers, reaching out to capture White Peak Immortal. Daoist friend, this is a misunderstanding. If you have also come for this ancient relic, I am willing to share the discovery of the relic with you. Seeing the dramatic increase in Lu Chongqing's magic aura, the corner of White Peak Immortal's eye twitched as he shouted loudly. During his words, a white golden-colored small mountain soared into the sky, bursting with vigorous magic power that continued to grow, transforming into a majestic divine mountain that crashed towards the Yin-Yang hand, intending to shatter it. The next instant, the Yin-Yang hand collided with the majestic divine mountain. Sar the novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Boom! A massive mushroom cloud appeared between heaven and earth. The entire void continuously burst with thunderous roars, twisting and shattering. As expected of a seasoned nascent soul immortal, Lu Chongqing's golden core mana surged like a torrential river, stabilizing the Yin-Yang great hand. Then he urged the fire golden eye. His eyes dazzled with golden radiance interwoven with fiery red runes, shooting out 2 beams of light, continuing the assault on White Peak Immortal. This fire golden eye not only can penetrate illusions and discern others' weaknesses, but it also possesses a certain lethal power, making it exceedingly difficult to guard against. Core Formation 6th Layer. Lu Chongxing discerned White Peak Immortal's mana cultivation level. As for the physical body, although formidable, it has not undergone third-order body refining. In an instant, his Bodhis chi blood roared and surged, his entire being ignited with a fierce and overbearing purplish-red flame, ready to rely on third-order body refining to quickly decide the battle. Boom! The chi blood and thunder gang dragon flames soared into the sky, stirring the heavens and earth. The scorching and violent blaze reflected the sky, resembling a flood dragon coiling around. Daoist, do not push things too far. If you continue to make your move, you will not only provoke the Demon King, but you might also reveal the presence of this ancient relic site. Seeing Lu Changsheng's soaring chi blood, akin to the wild physique of a Demon King, White Peak Immortal's heart was trembling as he loudly exclaimed. He could not understand how Jiang country could suddenly produce a nascent soul immortal so domineering and powerful as Lu Changsheng. Having traveled far and wide, being once compelled by Azure Phoenix Immortal to leave Jiang country to visit many cultivation nations, he did not recall any character by the name of Lu Changsheng. Moreover, even after agreeing to share the secrets of the secret realm with him, he still took such aggressive actions. Boom! Lu Changsheng, like a fierce dragon emerging from the abyss, and with the eruption of a primeval volcano, stepped on the earth and shot forth. The terrifying force instantly shattered the ground beneath his feet, causing it to collapse and create dense, spreading cracks in all directions. And his body, divine and demonic, seemed to carry a purplish-red flood dragon on his back, bringing with him boundless oppressive force as he charged towards White Peak Immortal. Simultaneously, the Thousand Faces puppet fox and the endless guileful head appeared behind Lu Changsheng. Charm. Endless ghost domain. A puppet and a corpse simultaneously disturbed and influenced White Peak Immortal's mental spirit. Who exactly is this person? Not far away, the false core cultivators and foundation establishment cultivators who came with White Peak Immortal were shocked and trembling as they beheld this scene. A battle of this level was completely beyond their ability to intervene. The mere prestige and aura made them tremble, unable to suppress their agitation. Meanwhile, Li Feiyu remained expressionless, as if oblivious to the battle situation. Switching heaven and earth and rock, firmament. White Peak Immortal's hands formed a gesture incantation, his earthy yellow magical robe fluttered loudly, and radiance intermingled as thick and profound earthen walls suddenly rose up from all directions. The aura was tumultuous and grand, as if merging with heaven and earth into one. Boom! If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1176. The colossal force of moving mountains and overturning seas struck the wall, producing a thunderous roar that shook heaven and earth, raising waves and surges of mana aftermath upon the wall's surface. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying force without end was transferred to the ground by the earthen wall, forming layered concentric shocks, causing the earth to continuously crack and collapse with deafening sounds, and dust billowed into the air. Daoist, do you truly seek mutual destruction? White Peak Immortal's sea of consciousness was somewhat muddled. He bit his tongue hard, circulated his cultivation technique, resisted the influence of the Thousand Faces puppet fox and shouted loudly. However, in this instant, the shadow of the endless guileful head's ghost domain had already gradually spread, covering White Peak Immortal, another false core foundation establishment, and Li Feiyu at a distance. A massive body with bulging muscles, resembling a small hill, the dark demon corpse appeared silently behind White Peak Immortal, its fist deep as an abyss and carrying roll corpse evil chi as it hammered down thunderously. Immortal, save me! Immortal! The two people who were enveloped by the endless ghost domain cried out to White Peak Immortal. Li Feiyu, who originally had an expressionless face and seemed slightly stunned, also seemed to gradually recover consciousness, his face showing a look of horror, not knowing what was going on. All he remembered was White Peak Immortal imposing several prohibitions on him, intending to take him into the ancient relic site within the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and then through some exotic treasure recreate the situation of that day. Third Order puppet, Third Order corpse refinement. This man is simply a madman. Run. At this moment, alarm bells rang wildly in the heart of White Peak Immortal, knowing that he was no match for Lu Chongqing. If this continued, his defeat was certain. Moreover, if the battle carried on like this, surely Demon Kings would come. If both were to be left injured, it would be troublesome if the Demon King arrived. 9-colored tribulation light. Lu Chongqing, realizing that White Peak Immortal wanted to flee, immediately unleashed his killer move without any reservations. Boom boom boom. Brilliant and splendid divine light burst forth from the chest of Lu Chongqing, like a cataclysm accountable for destroying all things erupted, overwhelming White Peak Immortal's divine skills together with the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame and the Dark Demon Corpse, shining down upon him. Danger. In an instant, a sense of impending death enveloped White Peak Immortal's mind. His magical robe flapped, light shimmering around him, his protective spiritual shield operating at its limit. An ancient-looking jade talisman appeared in his hand, wishing to use the talisman to escape. I'm thinking of escaping. Yin-Yang Domain. Noticing the talisman in his opponent's hand as some kind of teleportation charm for escaping, Lu Chongqing coldly snorted. Surging extraordinary mana erupted out, the terrifying spiritual pressure causing distortion in the space around them. Yin-Yang energies flowed around his body, spreading wildly as if both sun and moon were moving in unison, gradually forming a Yin-Yang Daoist chart, sealing heaven and earth. The law domain had little effect on a nascent soul cultivator of the same realm, but Lu Chongqing had a Yin-Yang Great Path Golden Core, making his law domain far stronger than that of ordinary people, also possessing the power to seal the heavens and earth, restricting others. At the same time, 6 Desires Heart Demon Technique. 6 Senses Locking Heart. In Lu Chongqing's sea of consciousness, the Tai divine soul resembling a golden figure was faintly visible within his brow, an invisible and formless shadow striking towards White Peak Immortal. Teach Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Buzz. The body of White Peak Immortal suddenly stiffened, his mental spirit sinking, as if the nascent soul of Azure Phoenix Immortal had returned, reigning supreme over the world, crushing his being. No good. White Peak Immortal roared in his mind, his liver and gallbladder wanting to split apart, forcefully biting on his tongue, nearly severing it. Boom. However, by the time he broke free from the illusion, the 9-colored tribulation light and the Thunder Gang Dragon Flame had already engulfed him, his entire body shattered, his organs destroyed, life extinguished. You, who on earth are you? The body of White Peak Immortal was charred, his flesh indistinct, his organs shattered, his voice hoarse as he spoke. He felt that Lu Chongqing before him did not come for the ancient relic site. If it were for the secret of the relic site, there was no need at all to fight against him like this. Even if Lu Chongqing's combat ability was far superior to his, he could see that Lu Chongqing, by fighting like this and using certain methods, had to pay a certain price. Paying such a price in the Myriad Beasts mountain range just to kill him, it was completely nonsensical. Lu Chongqing did not speak. The Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, fierce and wild, turned the other's body to ashes. As a nascent soul immortal, the methods were extraordinary. The opponent's life was utterly extinguished, but there was still a breath of essence energy. Immortal. This. It's over. This. The 3 people within the endless ghost domain witnessing this scene, all had expressions of horror and disbelief. They all knew the identity and strength of this yellow-robed elder. He was the current master of the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, a nascent soul immortal held in high esteem. But such an immortal whom they usually looked up to and knelt before was actually killed by someone. And in such a short time he was killed, turned to ashes. Looking at Lu Chongqing, who seemed both divine and demonic as their hearts were overturning seas and rivers, a sense of despair emerged, knowing that they were doomed to die today. Go! Lu Chongqing clenched onto White Peak Immortal's true elixir and storage ring, and the yin-yang hand in the sky dome gathered the opponent's mountain magical treasures. He then swept his divine sense over, sweeping up the 9 small arrows, and commanded the endless guileful head to quickly leave with the 3 others. He faintly sensed that a demon king was about to rush here, and in his current state he was not suited for another battle with a demon king. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1177. Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Within the splendid palace, a woman in silver robes and purple hair, with a beautiful appearance, sat cross-legged. Suddenly she opened her eyes wide, an incredible surge of mana erupting from her. How is this possible? She gently lifted her fair hand, staring at the soul plate in her hand covered in cracks. Her expression changed drastically, her eyes filled with surprise, suspicion and disbelief. She then transformed into a streak of rainbow light, shooting out and arriving in front of a grand hall on Qinghuan Peak, inquiring about the condition of White Peak Immortal. Upon confirming that White Peak Immortal was not there and had gone out with someone, her beautiful face suddenly turned extremely ugly, her purple pupils flashing with shades of worry and fear. White Peak had been at core formation for hundreds of years with profound foundations. How could he suddenly fall? Could it be that White Peak wanted to fake his death, to take the opportunity to break away from the control of the Purple Light sect? No, White Peak has not yet obtained what he wants. Even if he breaks away from the control of the Purple Light sect, it would be meaningless. Sitting in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he might still have a chance to break through the late stage of core formation. The silver-robed woman's face went from cloudy to clear, still unwilling to believe the fact of White Peak Immortal's death. If White Peak is not feigning death but was killed by someone or encountered some accident, the silver-robed woman clenched her hands tightly, her expression somber, then immediately went to the core of the Immortal City, taking charge of the Third Order Forbidden Formation in case someone took the opportunity to cause trouble in the city. At the same time, she crushed one transmission jade talisman after another. Half a month later, several streaks of rainbow light arrived at the ancient relic site in the Myriad Beasts Mountain range. They all exuded mana's spiritual pressure of the core formation level, extremely terrifying. Indeed, there are signs of magical combat. It seems White Peak must have fallen here. It must have been done by cultivators. White Peak was no ordinary strength, and ordinary cultivators in the late stage of core formation would have found it difficult to kill him. Yet now he has died here. Could it be that White Peak encountered danger within the relics, hence he was ambushed opportunistically? The few people stared at the sunken ground before them, filled with cracks and scorched black, with extremely solemn expressions. Even though they were all of formidable strength, they did not dare to say that they could triumph over White Peak Immortal. This is corpse energy. Could it be from the Heavenly Corpse sect, the aura of the Dark Demon Corpse? At this moment, a core formation cultivator walked over to inspect the ground, catching a familiar trace of corpse energy and spoke out. No, it's not just a single type of corpse energy. Besides the Dark Demon Corpse, there is also another strange and sinister type of corpse energy. This aura is richer than the Dark Demon Corpse. Moreover, there should also be a young, powerful and somewhat thunderous flame divine skill. Another person executed divine skills, using magic treasures to investigate the situation, making analytical judgments. The Dark Demon Corpse, could it be that the brats from the Heavenly Corpse sect joined forces with others to kill White Peak Immortal? Instantly someone spoke, their expression sharp and filled with a cold, murderous intent. We can't rule out this possibility. Years ago, the sect hierarch of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Five Poisons cult leader wanted to take action. Now with Azure Phoenix Immortal missing, they might see Azure Phoenix Immortal City as a breakthrough point. These demon brats are courting death. These two corpse energies and flame divine skills should not come from the same person, at least two people. However, they managed to kill White Peak. Their strength and methods are not simple. The Spirit Taming sect had a cultivator at the late stage of core formation emerge not long ago, causing an uproar in the Myriad Beasts Mountain range, almost triggering a beast tide. Could they also be related to these demon path? After inspecting the scene, the few people discussed in turn. These demon brats are really rampant. I will report this matter to the true monarch, and make sure these demon brats will not return. A white-clothed core formation cultivator with an imposing air, like an unparalleled heavenly sword, said coldly. Even though White Peak Immortal was not closely related to their Heavenly Sword sect. But in the past 2 years, Jiang country had seen repeated troubles caused by the demon path, which was a provocation to the majesty of their Heavenly Sword sect. After discussing the matter of White Peak Immortal, the people then turned their attention to the heavenly stone wall in front of the valley. From prior news, They knew that White Peak Immortal had come to the Myriad Beasts mountain range for this ancient relic site. And before Azure Phoenix Immortal left the Immortal City, he had explored this ancient relic site. Myriad Beasts mountain range within a newly opened underground cave mansion. Phew! Lu Chongqing opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid energy, feeling that his condition had recovered quite a bit. He slightly raised his palm and White Peak Immortal's storage ring appeared in his hand. He had checked the storage ring for suspicious items right away and had not yet conducted a detailed investigation. Now that his essence, chi and spirit had recovered, it was naturally time for the enjoyable part of reaping the rewards. This person, as a veteran core formation cultivator, actually has 3 magic treasures. These 9 small arrows, if it wasn't for my awakening of the Tai soul body with the Tai divine soul, I would have almost been hit at that time. Although this small mountain is a life-bound magic treasure, after reforging it and mixing in some refining crystal, it will be very good for smashing people. Lu Chongqing examined the 9 dark black small arrows and a fist-sized white gold miniature mountain in his hand. He had witnessed the power of these 2 magical treasures. Especially the 9 dark black small arrows, which could kill without a trace and were shocking to the soul, making them extremely difficult to defend against. As for the small white gold mountain, it was firm and heavy with offensive and defensive abilities, its power comparable to a superior quality treasure. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although it was White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure and he could only unleash part of its power. With his 3rd order body refining, he could employ a simplistic method to make this magical treasure catch the opponent off guard during a fight. Mainly because he, as a core formation immortal, did not yet have an offensive magical treasure and could only rely on brute force divine skills in combat. If it were not for having the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus as his second Dantian, enduring such consumption would be truly unbearable, resulting in being weak and burdened after each fight, requiring a long time to recuperate and cultivate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1178. As for the 3rd magical treasure of White Peak Immortal, it was an escape artifact. This magical treasure was also prepared by White Peak Immortal for himself. Since Lu Chongqing owned the Starlight Plate, he did not need it. Moreover, Lu Chongqing planned to craft a pair of flying wing magical treasures for himself after returning, using the wings of the Wind Thunder Hound and the feathers of the Fire Phoenix-tailed Sparrow. In this way, his speed when escaping danger could be improved to another level. Originally, White Peak Immortal also had a 4th magical robe, which was the yellow robe he wore. But under the relentless onslaught of Lu Changsheng's 9-colored Tribulation Light, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, the Endless Ghost Domain and the Dark Demon Corpse, this magical robe was directly damaged. Besides the 3 magical treasures, Lu Chongqing also saw a spiritual eye spring in White Peak Immortal's storage ring. Then, in terms of spirit stones, it was an eye-opener for Lu Chongqing. He did a quick calculation. 112 superior grade spirit stones. 1,724 middle grade spirit stones. 35,261 lower grade spirit stones. This was the first time Lu Chongqing had seen so many spirit stones. Even at his wealthiest, he only had a little over 300,000 spirit stones on him. Compared with a nascent soul immortal, a demon king is simply a pauper. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but remark. Although the cave mansion of a 3rd-rank demon king may contain heavenly and earthly treasures, their value would not be very high. Generally, spiritual flowers and unusual fruits and rare spiritual medicines would have been consumed by the demon king early on. What remained were mostly growing spirit ores and spirit plants that were either still maturing or inedible. But unless there are some rare heavenly and earthly treasures or heaven and earth spiritual plants, they aren't really worth much. Therefore, the most valuable thing about a demon king is itself. Its flesh, bones and demon core, all of which have high value. Lu Chongqing looked at the storage ring, continuing to clean up and inventory various heaven and earth spiritual materials and rare spiritual medicines he found, as well as 2 core formation spiritual objects. Although core formation spiritual objects were of no use to a nascent soul cultivator. But if willing to sell them, countless foundation establishment cultivators would be ready to serve. Moreover, Lu Chongxing had many wives, concubines, children and so on at home, so there was always a great demand for foundation establishment spirit objects and core formation spiritual objects. TSK, this haul is a big win. No, it's a huge profit. It's way more lucrative than killing a demon king. Lu Chongxing counted the items one by one, his face showing a hint of a smile. Search * the novel. Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What is this? At this moment, Lu Chongxing saw a plain and unadorned bead that felt heavy and cold in his hand. After examining it for a moment, he guessed it must be an exotic treasure. He tried to activate it with his mana. The black bead immediately began flowing with ripples, displaying a pale silvery sheen. As Lu Chongxing held the silver-glittering stone bead in his palm, it reflected light in all directions. The scenery around him became incredibly clear, even as if to see through the cave's formation stone walls and look outside. This exotic treasure possesses an effect somewhat similar to the fire golden eye, being able to pierce through illusions. It must have been forged from the eye of some kind of demon beast. Previously, after killing the golden-eyed fire ape, Lu Chongxing had thought about turning its eyeballs into a spiritual artifact capable of discerning falsehoods. Because his family was about to establish a business association, they needed such a treasure. Now that he had this stone bead, it saved him some effort. He continued to operate the exotic treasure to test whether the effect of this eyeball was stronger or weaker than his fire golden eye. The black bead's silver radiance flowed, and in this moment, the pupil seemed to be on the verge of opening, reviving with vitality. However, at this time, operating the eyeball not only required mana but also chi blood and essence energy to truly revive its power. Buzz. Without hesitation, Lu Chongxing channeled his own chi blood into the eyeball. Suddenly, the pupil vibrated, runes interweaved and flowed, forming a golden beam of light with the silver sheen, piercing through the distant stone wall and causing the stone wall to crack, while the small reversed 5 elements erased spiritual light flickered. Not bad in terms of effect, but the upper limit is a bit low. Lu Chongxing shook his head in some regret. The original owner of this eyeball must have been quite extraordinary, more powerful than the golden-eyed fire ape. However, the person who forged this stone bead into an exotic treasure might have done so for a junior member of their family, or for some other reason. As a result, even a foundation establishment cultivator could use it, but this caused the power limit to be far less than that of his fire golden eye. However, it's still good as an exotic treasure. It just so happens that my family can use it. If it were a magical treasure, my family wouldn't be able to utilize this eyeball. After pondering briefly, Lu Chongxing understood that turning such an eyeball into a magical treasure would be very difficult and troublesome. It would require many auxiliary materials and the effect might not be ideal. It's simpler and more cost-effective to lower the requirements and forge it into an exotic treasure instead. After putting the eyeball into his storage ring, Lu Chongxing didn't find too many more surprises. But this harvest was still the largest one Lu Chongxing had gained since he started cultivating. Spirit stones, heavenly and earthly treasures, spiritual medicines and plants, pill and talisman scriptures, magical treasures and exotic treasures. The total value was definitely around 4 to 5 million spirit stones. After all, just the spirit stones alone amounted to over 130 million. And the 3 magical treasures were all top grade, which are hard to value in spirit stones. Plus, there was a pile of rare heavenly and earthly treasures. Lu Chongxing even wondered if White Peak Immortal had just made a big score through the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. After all, though a nascent soul immortal is rich, there is a limit. And most cultivators would not carry too many spirit stones or heavenly and earthly treasures on them. Generally, they spend what they have to enhance their own abilities. Afterward, Lu Chongxing took out 2 storage bags and a spiritual pet bag. These were from the individuals suppressed within the Endless Ghost domain. Lu Chongxing took a quick look. The storage bag of the false core immortal did have some money. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1179. Excluding his life-bound magic treasure, all the spirit stones, spiritual artifacts and heavenly and earthly treasures totaled to nearly 300,000 spirit stones. But compared to White Peak Immortal, it was hardly worth mentioning. As for the storage bag of the Foundation Establishment Cultivator, it did bring Lu Chongxing a few delightful surprises, containing a core formation spiritual object. Sir, the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Even though it was a lower-tier core formation spiritual object, it was still worth 50 to 60,000 spirit stones. Adding everything together, the total gains were roughly 100,000 spirit stones. This silver-winged golden falcon is quite remarkable. At that moment, Lu Chongqing turned his attention to the spiritual pet bag. Inside was a falcon with fierce eyes, a majestic and mighty posture, and smooth, closely set feathers gleaming with threads of golden luster. The demonic power emanating from it was about at the second rank late stage. However, taming such a fierce demon beast as the falcon, even if it was previously domesticated and had a beast control token, would not be easy to turn to one's own use. It required time and effort to continuously tame it and gain its recognition. Otherwise, in the face of danger, such a demon beast was very likely to resist desperately until death. After tidying up the items, Lu Changsheng's palm gently lifted, and the endless guileful head appeared. The endless ghost domain slowly opened, and 3 silhouettes emerged from inside. Among them, both the false core man and foundation establishment man had become ghost slaves under the erosion of the endless guileful head, with greenish-gray rigid complexions and ink-black eyes devoid of any whites. As for Li Feiyu, a spiritual light flowed around him, protecting his physical body and soul. This endless guileful head is truly bizarre and sinister. Lu Chongqing, eyeing the 2 ghost slaves before him, narrowed his eyes slightly. This was his first time using the endless guileful head to transform people into ghost slaves. After their transformation into ghost slaves, their mana had dropped a notch, and their movements had become much slower. However, their bodies had become much tougher than before. Lu Chongqing had turned the 2 into ghost slaves not to enhance the combat strength of the endless guileful head. His main goal was to obtain memory information from them. Beings eroded by the endless guileful head into ghost slaves could have their memories read through it. Endless. Lu Changsheng's divine sense connected with the endless guileful head, attempting to read the memories of the 2. Hoo. Suddenly the hair of the endless guileful head whipped wildly, its jet-black eyes like 2 black holes, stealing one's soul as fragments of memories emerged before Lu Chongqing. This process was somewhat similar to that of the abyssal ghoul blossom. Memories were chaotic fragments. Many memory details had been lost during the erosion process of the endless guileful head, and finding useful information required a powerful divine sense and sufficient patience. After a long while, Lu Chongqing obtained some useful information from the memory fragments of the 2. Both of them were subordinates of the Azure Phoenix Immortal, having entered the Myriad Beasts Mountain Range ancient relic site before. However, they were unclear about the core area of the relic site, as only Li Feiyu and Azure Phoenix Immortal had entered it. Based on their earlier explorations and surveys with the Azure Phoenix Immortal, this relic was likely to be the ruins of an ancient sect, or its sanctuary, treasury filled with many rare spiritual objects. The departure of Azure Phoenix Immortal from the Azure Phoenix Immortal City had a significant connection to the gains from these ancient relics. Suspected of obtaining the infant transformation elixir, behind White Peak Immortal was suspected to be the Purple Light sect of Yu Country. The forces that divided the interests of the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, apart from the Purple Light sect of Yu Country, included the Spirit Taming sect of Jiang Country, as well as several Immortal sect-affiliated commercial guilds and powers. After all, it does not look good for the Immortal sects to be directly involved in such matters, so they would act through spokespeople and affiliated powers. I did not expect this relic to be so complicated. Lu Chongqing muttered to himself, understanding why White Peak Immortal went through such great lengths. However, he had no intention of exploring this relic. One reason was that it required a specific token or memento. He did not possess this token or memento. Secondly, the relic was incredibly dangerous. Indeed, Azure Phoenix Immortal likely sustained injuries in this secret realm, suffering many casualties in the process. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing looked towards his good friend Li Feiyu. He had previously checked on him and knew that his friend had endured many tortures and had suffered to his core. Just now, through the memories of the 2, he was even clearer about the tortures Li Feiyu had faced over the past year. Healing divine light. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath, circulating his life-bound treasured bone, and from his chest burst forth a dazzling life divine light, enveloping Li Feiyu. H&D. Under the surging vast essence energy and mana, Li Feiyu let out a muffled hum from his mouth, coughing up a mouthful of congestion, while the internal injuries in his body visibly healed at a visible speed to the naked eye. Buzz. Lu Changsheng's chest shone brilliantly, with intricate and profound runes interweaving, containing indescribable mi powers, flowing like water into Li Feiyu's body. A moment later, Li Feiyu's breathing became even, and his eyes slowly opened, regaining clarity. He suddenly looked up with a surprised and incredulous expression towards Lu Changsheng. Bang! Seeing Li Feiyu awaken, Lu Changsheng clicked his fingers, tapping the back of his head. Li Feiyu immediately rolled his eyes back and fell unconscious once more. Feiyu, sorry about this. A while later, once Li Feiyu's physical injuries were mostly healed, Lu Changsheng began to circulate the Six Desires Heart Demon technique, preparing to alter Li Feiyu's recent memories. Although he did not use his true appearance, he had displayed all his techniques when killing White Peak Immortal. If someone were to encounter Li Feiyu, they might discover some clues through him. Moreover, with the other three dead and only Li Feiyu remaining, such a situation was too peculiar. Therefore, for the sake of security, Lu Changsheng decided to modify this part of the memories. Six Desires Heart Demon Technique, Six Senses Locking Heart. Lu Changsheng's eyes seemed like profound black holes, continuously spinning, with two streaks of black light entering Li Feiyu's sea of consciousness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1180. In an instant, Lu Changsheng realized that there was an invisible barrier in Li Feiyu's mind, as if breaking through it would scatter his soul. Spiritual soul prohibition. Lu Changsheng immediately knew what was happening. This was a prohibition placed by Azure Phoenix Immortal on Li Feiyu's sea of consciousness, to prevent anyone from using soul-searching techniques on him. This technique was extremely exquisite and sophisticated. Had it not been for Lu Changsheng awakening the Tai Chi soul body, his divine sense surpassing that of an ordinary core formation peak, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly at this moment. I only need to modify some of his short-term memories recently. There shouldn't be any problems. Lu Changsheng's expression tensed as a golden figure emerged from his brow's sea of consciousness, sending out a beam of soul light that pierced directly into Li Feiyu's sea of consciousness. Then he tried to modify his recent memories to those of the four people entering the ancient relic site. But as he did, he triggered a prohibition and was enveloped by a splendid divine light. Within it, the Foundation establishment man was annihilated by the beam, while Lu Changsheng was healed by it and subsequently fell into unconsciousness. After a while, Lu Changsheng opened his eyes, exhaled a breath of turbid energy, and carried Li Feiyu out of the cave, arriving outside the Myriad Beasts mountain range. He then placed the storage bag of the Foundation establishment man into Li Feiyu's hand. The latter was in a dire situation without a storage bag and naturally without any elixir medicines or magic artifacts. Under such circumstances, encountering any danger might spell his end. Therefore, after Lu Changsheng simply cleared out the Foundation establishment man's storage bag and took away the core formation spiritual objects, he left a few talismans inside, giving Li Feiyu a set of initial equipment. As for what the other party intended to do next, it was up to him to choose. After everything was done, Lu Changsheng's fate-defying robe shimmered with an invisible luster, blending him in with the void. Roughly a quarter of an hour later, Li Feiyu, who was lying on the ground, opened his eyes and cautiously said, Where am I? My injuries have healed. He looked at his own body, his expression filled with surprise and joy. However, when he saw the storage bag in his hand, his expression immediately turned to one of shock and bewilderment. Isn't this Xiao Wei's storage bag? How did it end up in my hands? Wait a second. When entering the secret realm, it seems like a prohibition appeared. He turned to Ash and I inadvertently touched his storage bag. Li Feiyu touched his somewhat groggy head, feeling this memory to be very vague. After pondering for a moment, he didn't pay too much attention to it. He simply thought it to be White Peak Immortal's doing, damaging his divine sense and causing fragmented memories. He surveyed his surroundings and with fluctuating expressions he mused, although I have luckily escaped with my life, if White Peak Immortal didn't obtain anything in the relic, he will certainly come looking for me. I definitely can't go back to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. No, under these circumstances I can't stay in the Jiang country cultivation realm either. Li Feiyu's expression was grave, muttering to himself, knowing that he best not stay in the Jiang country cultivation realm. As for returning to Rui Prefecture Bihu Lake Mountain, he did not even consider it. In his current state, if he returned and White Peak Immortal became aware of it, it would surely bring endless trouble. He checked the storage bag with his divine sense and found several spiritual artifacts and immediately changed into a magical robe. Then he altered his appearance and concealed his aura, transforming into an escape light and hurriedly left. Sigh. Lu Chongqing watched the departing Li Feiyu and sighed. He had been fully focused on Li Feiyu's emotions with his divine sense. Although he wasn't able to completely grasp the other's thoughts and ideas, he roughly perceived a portion of his intentions. Li Feiyu had not given up on struggling in the outside world, nor on the idea of returning to Rui Prefecture. However, with Feiyu's temperament, he wouldn't choose to go back under these circumstances. Lu Chongqing murmured to himself. In truth, he had long understood that Li Feiyu's reluctance to return home stemmed not only from an unwillingness to lead an ordinary life but also from a concern about bringing trouble home. After all, there are no lack of unscrupulous people in the cultivation world. And now that such an incident has occurred, it is even less likely that Li Feiyu would return. The world is like the tide, people are like water, only lamenting how few return to the rivers and lakes. Lu Chongqing sighed softly, retracted his gaze and looked towards the direction of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, murmuring to himself, now that White Peak Immortal is dead, the situation in Azure Phoenix Immortal City must be quite chaotic. After pondering for a moment, he gave up the idea of going to the Immortal City to fence his goods and make purchases. After all, White Peak Immortal had been in charge of Azure Phoenix Immortal City, which involved the power struggle between the upper echelons of Yu country and Jiang country, as well as the interests of the Purple Light sect. Now that White Peak Immortal is dead, the Purple Light sect will surely send people to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Although he had been very careful, who knew whether these sects possessed some kind of method? Thus, it was best to avoid going there as much as possible. Given that the Immortal City had a third-order forbidden formation, if he faced danger upon entering the city, Lu Chongqing was not confident in his ability to cope. Since that's the case, let's go home. Lu Chongqing looked at the 2 storage rings in his hand, a smile appearing on his face. The gains from this trip out could no longer be described as simply substantial. If he were to rely solely on his family's business, even after 100 years he would not earn as much. Furthermore, heaven and earth spiritual plants, spiritual vein origins, third-order demon pills, and top-grade magical treasures rarely circulated on the market for sale for spirit stones. Mostly they were privately traded among nascent soul immortals, exchanging goods for goods, making it difficult to measure their value. See Teach Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Right, I also have a daughter. Lu Chongqing thought of Binger, who was still inside his spiritual pet bag. He immediately took out the crystal coffin and tapped on it. Bang! Instantly, the lid of the coffin was lifted and a burst of icy cold air spilled out. Binger poked her little head out, her clear, flawless eyes looking at Lu Chongqing with joy, exclaiming, "Daddy, am all rested." "Good, now that you're rested, Daddy will take you home," Lu Chongqing said with a smile, knowing that she had been awake for a while, but since he hadn't called her, she obediently stayed put. Hearing this, Binger immediately jumped out of the crystal coffin, affectionately clung to Lu Chongqing, gently rubbing her little head against him, eyes slightly squinted, and a look of comfortable enjoyment on her face. Hee hee. Lu Chongqing fondly rubbed her little head and looked towards the Myriad Beasts mountain range, slowly flying away. While he was indeed going home, he had only slain 4 demon kings so far. The essence, blood and soul of the golden-eyed fire ape had been used by him to awaken his Tai soul body. The remaining 3 demon kings, in his view, were still lacking. He was hoping to gather 1 or 2 more. So if any demon king carelessly sought trouble with him, he wouldn't mind slaying 1 or 2 more. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1181. 3 months later. Gazing down at the continuous mountain ranges shrouded in the array formation's spiritual light, Lu Chongqing saw the emerald lake of Bihu Lake Mountain, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Under normal circumstances he would have been able to return within a month. However, he had taken some trouble to deal with 2 demon kings along the way, hence the delay. The radiant glow flowed around Lu Changsheng's body, and his dignified face suddenly became more handsome and spirited, his tall and stalwart figure slightly more slender, making him look refined and elegant, like a noble pine amidst the breeze. Then Lu Changsheng looked towards Binger in his arms, gently lifted his palm, and with a flow of yin and yang energy, the disguise on Binger's face dissolved, revealing her exceptionally beautiful face as if taken from a perfect painting. "Daddy." Binger, looking up at Lu Changsheng's handsome face, tilted her head affectionately and called out like a little kitten nuzzling against him. "We'll be home soon. Remember what Daddy taught you before?" Lu Changsheng touched her cold little head and spoke with a gentle voice. Previously, he had reverted to his true appearance and attempted to explain to Binger that he was not her father. But once she heard this, she immediately burst into tears, insisting that Daddy was Daddy and that she would behave well. Lu Changsheng really didn't know what to say and just went along with it. Home. Binger's eyes were clear and bright, almost dreamlike as she looked excitedly at Bihu Lake Mountain below. Afterward, Lu Changsheng held the token and silently entered Bihu Lake Mountain with Binger, arriving at Baiyun Peak. Husband, you're back." In the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyun Chuzhenzhen Bai Ling, and a few others saw Lu Changsheng and immediately expressed delight. However, they had a somewhat strange expression upon seeing Binger, who was closely clinging to Lu Changsheng's arm. Wasn't their husband supposed to be hunting demon beasts in the Myriad Beasts mountain range? Why did he bring back a woman? But it seemed natural for their husband to be captivated by such an exceptional beauty. This woman was picture-perfect, like a fantasy dream, except her skin was too pale. In fact, it was almost pallid, spoiling her beautiful charm. And those eyes, so clear and pure, radiated an innocent naivety, giving her a guileless air. "Daddy." When Binger saw so many people looking at her, she couldn't help feeling a bit restrained and called out to Lu Changsheng. Daddy." Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and the others were stunned to hear Binger calling Lu Changsheng daddy, somewhat baffled. What was happening? This woman wasn't a new concubine that their husband picked up during his adventures, but his daughter? When did their husband have such a grown daughter? Cough cough, I'll explain later. Lu Changsheng rubbed Binger's little head to signal her to relax and then stepped forward for an intimate hug with his wives. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A moment later, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others heard about Lu Changsheng's return and also came to the Lu family mansion. A daughter picked up? Hearing Lu Changsheng's words and seeing the exquisite beauty of Binger's face and her affectionate closeness with Lu Changsheng, Ling Zixiao said with a smile that was not quite a smile. "My lord sure has an extraordinary charm with women, to have picked up such a beautiful, well-behaved daughter. I wonder if you're going to pick up a few more daughters to bring home in the future?" Heir. At that remark, Lu Changsheng thought of his daughter Nangong Yaoyao in the Jin Kingdom and awkwardly smiled. How could there be so many daughters to pick up? But it's possible that I'll indeed bring another daughter home in the future. Ah. Ling Zixiao was taken aback upon hearing this. She had only thought it strange that Lu Changsheng brought a woman home and even called her his daughter, which seemed rather scandalous, so she teased him. But unexpectedly, Lu Changsheng indeed had a daughter from outside. The other women were also stunned, looking at their husband, having never heard about this. "Zixiao, do you remember Nangong Mili?" Lu Changsheng said softly. Now that he had achieved core formation, he was preparing to visit the Jin Kingdom after he finished dealing with family affairs at home, to check on his daughter Nangong Yaoyao. If possible, he would bring her back to Bihu Lake Mountain. Therefore, he briefed his wives about his plans to visit the Jin Kingdom. Nangong Mili? Ling Zixiao was shocked to hear this, her elegant face suddenly surprised. Then with an incredulous look she exclaimed, "My lord, are you really saying that woman bore your child?" Initially, when she observed the change in Lu Changsheng's attitude towards Nangong Mili, she had her suspicions. But considering that it was difficult for a nascent soul immortal to conceive, and that Lu Changsheng merely had dual cultivation healing with Nangong Mili, it seemed impossible for pregnancy to occur, so she didn't pay much mind to it. Now hearing Lu Changsheng's words, the memories suddenly resurfaced. Nangong Mili? Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenzhen and others were somewhat puzzled, looking at each other in confusion, having never heard this name before. Yes, indeed, that woman conceived a child back then. Lu Chongqing nodded and said, so I plan to make a trip to the Jin Kingdom after things at home are stable to see the child. To Jin Kingdom? Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenzhen were even more surprised. They never anticipated that their husband would have a child with another woman, and that both the woman and the child were not in Jiang country. Seeing the bewilderment in the eyes of Lu Miaoge and the others, Lu Chongqing began to recount the story about Nangong Mili. He explained that on his return from Jiuxiao Immortal City with Ling Zixiao, he encountered Meng Xiaochan and her master, and through dual cultivation he healed the other person, which unexpectedly led to her becoming pregnant. A nascent soul immortal? Miss Xiaochan. This, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun and the others had a deep impression of Meng Xiaochan. If not for her, during the battle between Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley, the Lu family and Bai family would have never been able to take down Red Leaf Valley. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1182. But never had they imagined that their husband during his qi refinement realm had formed a connection with Meng Xiaochan, a foundation establishment cultivator. During the foundation establishment stage he even managed to form a connection with Meng Xiaoquan's master, a nascent soul immortal, and got her pregnant. This is simply shocking. However, upon hearing that this nascent soul immortal and Meng Xiaochan were not cultivators from Jiang country, but rather demonic path cultivators from Jin Kingdom, the ladies were completely at a loss for words. It was bad enough that their husband had ties with a demonic path cultivator, he even had a child with a nascent soul immortal from the Five Poisons cult. If the other family forces found out about this, they would likely use this incident to fiercely attack there by Lake Mountain. Lord, the character of this true person Nangong, this child. At this moment, Ling Zixiao gently pursed her moist red lips, speaking tactfully, expressing that Nangong Mili's character might not ensure that she keeps the child. I have a divine skill that allows me to sense the birth of this child through destiny, Lu Chongqing said. He didn't delve deeper into this topic and turned to ask his wife Lu Miaoyun, Yuna, has anything happened at home recently? Lu Miaoyun promptly recounted the various matters at home over the past year. Now that the operation of Bai Lake Mountain has matured significantly and didn't require Lu Changsheng's attention, so there were no major issues. The main issue was the children at home reaching the foundation establishment stage. Presently, Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen, and Lu Qingsong could assault the foundation establishment at any moment. Lu Yun and Lu Caizhen were also nearly at the peak of the 9th level of energy refinement, ready to start their foundation establishment. However, Lu Chongqing had instructed before leaving that the matter of the children's foundation establishment should wait until his return. Are they currently at Bai Lake Mountain? Lu Chongqing inquired. Ling Xiao and Xingchen are at Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingsong is at White Tiger Mountain, while Yuner and Caizhen are at Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Miaoyun replied softly. SEA the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Very well, have them all return later through message. Lu Chongqing nodded. After finishing thinking of his children at Qingyun sect, he continued, also, send a message for Xingyue and Yunlu to come back once. Chongqing, are you preparing for them all to establish their foundations? Lu Miaoge, upon hearing this, immediately guessed what Lu Chongqing was planning and spoke with some surprise. Yes. Lu Chongqing nodded. Since the children's cultivation levels had reached, he wouldn't overly suppress them. In terms of continuously producing foundation establishment cultivators in the family, whether trouble would arise, Lu Chongqing felt more assured after his journey to the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Chongqing, we don't have so many foundation establishment elixirs at home right now. Moreover, once there appear so many foundation establishment cultivators, I'm afraid the spirit vein at home won't be able to sustain. Lu Miaoge, with a clear and gentle beauty, softly said, as gentle as water. Although Bai Lake Mountain was not short of heavenly spirit fruits for refining foundation establishment elixirs, they didn't have so many auxiliary materials needed for refining foundation establishment elixirs at the moment. Moreover, the spirit vein at Bai Lake Mountain was quite strained. If it were not for the presence of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, the spiritual eye spring and heavenly origin precious lotus, there would have been a shortage of spiritual energy. Should there be 5 more foundation establishment cultivators, even counting White Tiger Mountain and Flower Fruit Mountain, it would still be difficult to accommodate. After all, both White Tiger Mountain and Flower Fruit Mountain have second-order middle-grade spirit veins. Providing for 3 foundation establishment cultivators is just about manageable. Any more would be somewhat strained. And the resources consumed by foundation establishment cultivators in cultivation are several times those of energy refining cultivators. As the children of the Lu family grow up, marry, have children and improve their cultivation, it has already become difficult to sustain family welfare, relying on Lu Changsheng's subsidy. If 5 more foundation establishment cultivators were added, and since these foundation establishments cannot be easily exposed, unable to develop territory for the family and generate profits in the short term, it would be a huge burden. No matter, I had some gains during my trip outside, so there's no need to worry about foundation establishment elixirs and spirit veins. Lu Chongqing, clearly understanding his wife's concerns, waved his hand and said aloud. The gains from his trip to the Myriad Beasts mountain range were enough to solve all the problems the family faced. Husband, if so many foundations were to appear in the family and other family forces came to know of it, wouldn't it invite quite a bit of trouble? At this moment Lu Miaoyun gently pursed her red lips and spoke. Though the family had Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven to keep breakthroughs to the foundation establishment concealed, such matters couldn't be hidden forever. Even if a foundation establishment appeared every few years, it would still be astonishing. Especially since, compared to other families, the foundation establishment cultivators of Bai Lake Mountain were already far ahead. I've already considered this issue, Lu Chongqing smiled and said. Later, you spread the word that Xingrua can now skillfully use special monster cores to refine foundation establishment elixirs, and at least guarantee 1 successful pill. If other families have needs in this regard, they can come to our Bai Lake Mountain to refine them. Lu Chongqing said in this way. A family's steady appearance of foundation establishment cultivators, besides talent, one key point is the foundation establishment elixirs. As long as the family can stably supply foundation establishment elixirs, then having a foundation establishment cultivator every few years is very normal. Refining foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Miaoyun immediately understood her husband's intentions. This was to externally show that their family had a legitimate way to obtain foundation establishment elixirs. Besides Qingyun sect, it seems that there's no other alchemist in Qingyun region who can guarantee a successful pill when refining foundation establishment elixirs. Lord, we can first establish a reputation and public trust indicating that at this stage in refining foundation establishment elixirs, if it fails, our Bai Lake Mountain will fully compensate, thus attracting people to come and refine foundation establishment elixirs. At this moment Ling Zixiao spoke up, smiling lightly. She was aware of her husband's alchemy skills. Not only were multiple pills being produced, but they were also largely top-grade elixir pills. Wouldn't this be too bold and invite trouble? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1183. Lu Miaoyun heard these words and hesitated to say. Once it becomes known that her family can stably refine foundation establishment elixirs, it will indeed attract the favor of many family forces. But it will also incur the wariness and be viewed as a thorn in the side by many foundation establishment clans, false core families, and even nascent soul families. He. Ling Zixiao, dressed in a blue gown and sitting with dignified elegance, chuckled lightly and said, Zhang, this is already quite restrained. Let's do as Zixiao suggests. Lu Chongqing pondered for a moment before speaking. His family had always been concealing and hiding their strength. But the matter of his daughter's foundation establishment can't be kept a secret forever. After all, in a few years after this batch, other children in the family will need to undergo foundation establishment. Therefore, on this matter, having a reasonable explanation is sufficient. After all, such a matter will not shock or horrify the Qingyun sect so much. As for the targeting by other families, Lu Chongqing has become indifferent, taking such targeting as trials for his children. After all, having cultivated his children up to foundation establishment, the path ahead must rely on their own efforts. As their father, he can't support them all the way, he can only provide some help as much as possible to make their journey smoother. Emichung. Lu Miaoyun nodded her head, also realizing that her husband was a nascent soul immortal. As long as it wasn't an assault by the beast-taming Su family, there shouldn't be any big problems. By the way, my lord, previously our family received a second-rank fire seed from 100 Cliff Mountain, she said. But this heavenly spiritual fire is immensely fierce and overwhelming, and for Shower to subdue and refine it by himself would be extremely dangerous. After discussing family affairs, Ling Zixiao turned to look at Lu Chongqing and spoke of their son's matter. Oh, the family has acquired a heavenly spiritual fire suitable for Shower? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows slightly, somewhat surprised. He had been acquiring heavenly spiritual fires for his son Lu Lingxiao. But such things are exceptionally rare. And to find one that fits his son's dragon roar physique is even scarcer. Yes, this heavenly spiritual fire is scorching and tyrannical, filled with a sense of destruction. It's very lethal and matches the conditions you've mentioned, my lord. Thus, I've spent 24,000 spirit stones and 3 second-order top-level talismans to purchase this fire seed, she said. Ling Zixiao spoke, while taking out an icy jade porcelain bottle from her storage bag. Through the porcelain bottle one could see a small black flame within. Lu Chongqing took the jade box and opened it. Instantly, a wave of heat carrying a destructive and devastating aura spread out. Jesus! Lu Chongqing extended his palm, and the Thunder Gang dragon flame appeared, holding the origin flame seed in his hand and quietly experiencing its power. After a moment. Not bad, this heavenly spiritual fire is indeed good, very suitable for Shower, he said with a hint of a smile in his eyes. This heavenly spiritual fire shares some similarities with his Thunder Gang Yen, both being of a masculine and aggressive nature. Compared to Thunder Gang Yen, it even has an additional sense of destruction. This also makes the heavenly spiritual fire unsuitable for uses such as alchemy or artifact refining. It can only serve as a divine skill for cultivators who practice fire attribute techniques. But the more violent and aggressive the flame, the more dangerous the process of subduing and refining it. Typical Foundation establishment cultivators would not dare to attempt refining this heavenly spiritual fire. And since it can't be used for alchemy and artifact refining, nascent soul cultivators aren't interested, which makes this spiritual fire rather awkward. When Shower comes back, I will help him refine this fire, said Lu Chongqing, returning the fire seed to the icy jade porcelain bottle and speaking to Ling Zixiao. Although regular Foundation establishment cultivators may struggle to refine this heavenly spiritual fire, if there is a nascent soul immortal father to help refine it, it naturally becomes much simpler. This is the advantage of having family elders. My lord, thank you for your hard work, said Ling Zixiao gently. Shower is my son, no need for such words, Lu Chongqing replied, holding his wife's delicate hand and speaking softly with a smile. After chatting with his wife, Lu Chongqing, accompanied by several ladies and Binger, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Mount Sumeru. Lu Chongqing released a series of mountain and river cauldrons filled with the spiritual vein origin. He instructed Mount Sumeru to use these spiritual vein origins to upgrade the Cave Heaven spirit vein. Mount Sumeru could grow through the Cave Heaven inside it, nurturing itself and accelerating the growth process. At this moment, Lu Chongqing anticipated how much improvement Mount Sumeru would gain after the Cave Heaven's spirit vein was elevated to the 3rd rank. Yes, master. The ethereal voice of Mount Sumeru also carried a hint of joy at this moment. So many. Ling Zixiao looked at the mountain and river cauldrons somewhat surprised and asked, My lord, how many demon kings did you have to slay for these? It was mainly good fortune that led me to a large spirit vein where Binger was sleeping, Lu Chongqing said as he looked at the obedient-faced Binger. She wasn't as shy as Bai Ling. However, when facing Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao and others, she still felt somewhat restrained and spoke very little. Honglian. After that, Lu Chongqing took Binger next to the medicine garden, looking at the vibrant peachwood spirit womb, and asked Honglian about her recent condition and whether she could discern anything about Binger. Young master. Honglian woke up, her voice light and elegant. She was currently at a critical moment for her spiritual embryo to take shape and couldn't be too distracted. So for the time being she couldn't discern any issues with Binger. Fine. Lu Chongqing wasn't too concerned upon hearing this. After all, with his awakening Tai Chi soul body, His divine sense had surpassed some peak of core formation cultivators. If even he couldn't discern Binger's condition, it would be difficult for Hong Lian in her state to identify anything about Binger. She could only make some analysis based on her extensive knowledge and experience. There's a saying that a short separation is better than a honeymoon. Now that he had been away for a year, Lu Chongqing naturally wanted to foster affection with his wives at home. And after core formation there were all sorts of things to do at home, always keeping busy. Now it was time to truly enjoy and relax, focusing the energy on childbearing. Though it was extremely difficult to bear children after core formation, the children born to those who have undergone core formation would have spiritual root talents far surpassing those of ordinary cultivators' offspring. Binger, are you tired? Lu Chongqing said, looking at Binger, who clung to him like a little kitten. Daddy, I'm not tired. Binger said spiritedly. She had already slept on the way back, so she was very alert now. No, you're tired. You need to sleep, Lu Chongqing said seriously. Lord, since Binger likes you so much, let her stay by your side if she wants, Ling Zixiao said teasingly as she looked at Binger's exquisite and incredible beauty. She didn't mind having an extra little girl by her side. Sister Ling. Lu Miaoyun felt that it wasn't appropriate. Although Binger seemed to be 17 or 18, her clear and flawless eyes conveyed a sense of innocence and naivety like a child oblivious to world affairs. The idea of dual cultivation with Chongqing while such a child was around was simply improper. Okay Binger, go to sleep. Binger somewhat bewilderingly glanced at Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaoga, then turned to look at Lu Chongqing and nodded her head, obediently compliant. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing brought out the crystal coffin. Good night, Daddy, Binger said reluctantly as she lay down in the coffin. Okay, Daddy will come to wake Binger up later. Athea the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing said softly after kissing the girl's pale and cold forehead. Having spent a long time in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, he had grown quite fond of this little girl. However, seeing her naive and innocent gaze made him feel somewhat reluctant to proceed. Tsk. Ling Zixiao couldn't help expressing her amazement upon seeing Binger's crystal coffin. She thought her husband's love luck was truly unrivaled. This Binger was not simple at a glance, not just any ordinary woman. Lord, what's the situation with this Binger? She inquired curiously. I don't know either. Back when Lu Chongqing recounted the process of finding Binger. A third-order formation? Locking up a third-order spirit vein just to nourish her? Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaoyun and others were utterly astonished upon hearing this. It's known that third-order spirit veins are extremely rare, let alone large third-order spirit veins. Such a large third-order spirit vein could be used to establish an immortal city right on the spot. Lord, if this third-order formation isn't completely destroyed, you could take me there to have a look. Ling Zixiao pondered for a moment and then said. On one hand, she might gain some information from the formation and array patterns. On the other hand, she has been stuck at the level of a quasi-third-order array master in her study of formation path. Advancing further required in-depth study of third-order forbidden formations or attempting to arrange a third-order formation herself. Okay, let's not talk about this now. Lu Chongqing smiled and replied, embracing his lovely wives as they entered Chongqing Hall. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1184. Being apart makes reunion as sweet as a honeymoon. Inside Chongqing Hall, Lu Chongqing and his beloved wives engaged in numerous passionate encounters, which were filled with fervor that is beyond words. Afterward, Lu Chongqing recounted the events of his journey to the Myriad Beasts mountain range to his wives. However, to avoid worrying them, he omitted the incidents of being pursued by the Demon King and killing White Peak Immortal. Still, the recounting of his adventures brought incessant marvel and exclamations from Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin and the others. After all, apart from Ling Zixiao, who had seen a bit of the world, the other wives seldom traveled afar. The Myriad Beasts mountain range and third-rank Demon King were only known to them through hearsay and books. When things settle down at home, your husband will take you all to visit the Myriad Beasts mountain range and the several immortal cities, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. But midway he swallowed the rest of his sentence. Turning to Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin, he softly reassured them, Don't worry, I have a way to solve the issue with the heavenly longevity technique. Husband, it's all right. Husband, I think it's quite nice this way. The three women were very understanding. Nonetheless, Lu Chongqing could still see a hint of sadness on the exquisite and radiant face of his wife Lu Miaohuan. She was inherently lively and somewhat playful. However, since cultivating the heavenly longevity technique, she could not leave by Lake Mountain at all. Especially in recent years, with her father Lu Yuanding aging and nearing the end of his life, she found herself unable to visit him, sometimes grieving alone. As soon as Mount Sumeru's transformation is complete and I transplant your lifespan spiritual plants into Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, you'll be able to travel with Mount Sumeru. Or once I find a cave heaven treasure capable of cultivating heaven and earth spiritual plants, you will also be free to travel without constraints, Lu Chongqing warmly said. Over the years, he had gained a fair understanding of the heavenly longevity technique. In theory, with a cave heaven treasure that could sustain heaven and earth spiritual plants, and by transferring his wife's lifespan spiritual plants inside, they would be able to go out using the cave heaven treasure. See Teach Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Cave Heaven Treasure. Hope glimmered in the beautiful eyes of Lu Miaohuan and Lu Miaoyun. They naturally wanted to go out and explore with Lu Chongqing if it were possible. However, they both understood what the 4 words, Cave Heaven Treasure, entailed. Even common magical treasures were extremely precious, only to be owned by nascent soul immortals or false core immortals. And cave heaven treasures, being dozens of times rarer and more precious than ordinary treasures, especially one that can cultivate heaven and earth spiritual plants, were exceedingly rare and valuable. Thank you for your trouble, husband. Chu Xinjin was the most indifferent of the 3 women. Being a super homebody, she rarely liked to go out. With her son Lu Chuanjin away on errands and the other children residing at by Lake Mountain, she didn't have many concerns or attachments. Whatever she wanted, she could simply ask her daughter Lu Caixin or find Lu Wangshu and others to resolve it. After spending a few days of comfortable and quiet leisure time in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven with his wives, relaxing both mind and body, Lu Chongqing started to get busy with serious matters, caring for his children's well-being. Children pay respects to father. Dad, mom, aunt. Daddy. Upon learning of Lu Changsheng's return from seclusion, all the children came to greet him. Apart from Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen and Lu Qingsong, Lu Pingon was also called back by Lu Chongqing. Only Lu Rui, Lu Xianji, and the 9 Netherhound were left guarding White Tiger Mountain. As for Lu Xingyue and Lu Yunlu, the 2 had taken on sect missions to the marketplace, so they did not return so quickly. Daddy, big sister said you've prepared gifts for us. As soon as the youngest daughter Lu Lingyi saw Lu Chongqing, she immediately approached him affectionately and joyfully, tilting her cute little head and saying. Lu Chongqing glanced at his daughter Lu Wangshu not far away. Dressed in a light pink and white dress, radiantly flawless, with her hands clasped behind her waist, she stood gracefully and looked around at the scenery outside. Hee. Lu Chongqing chuckled and shook his head, then ruffled his little daughter's hair bun, laughing. Of course, come here, you can divide these spirit stones, 1 for each of your brothers and sisters and 1 for yourself. Wow, so many spirit stones, thank you, Daddy. Lu Ling's eyes sparkled at the sight of a bunch of middle-grade spirit stones in the storage bag, and she joyfully began to distribute them. 1 for Big Pot, 1 for me. 1 for Brother Yun, 1 for me. 1 for Sister Caixin, 1 for me. Lu Wangshu gave a thumbs up to Lu Ling's actions and commented, Xiaohe, you're really clever. Humph. Hearing this, Lu Lingyi puffed out her little chest, pride and joy painted across her face as she said, You always think I'm a dummy, but am not at all. Most of the time I'm super cunning. After saying that, she giggled and handed a spirit stone to Lu Wangshu saying, 1 for sister, 1 for me. Ha. The hall immediately filled with cheerful laughter, causing Ling Zixiao, the mother, to sigh and press her forehead. Ha. Lu Chongqing was also full of smiles, saying, Our Xiaohe is working so hard, what's wrong with taking a bit more for herself? In the midst of family laughter and chatter, when the conversation had subsided, Lu Chongqing stood up and said, Pingon Yuner, Caixin, Qing Song, Xingchen, Qinsha Shao, come with me. Yes, father. Lu Yun, Lu Caixin and others guessed what was coming. Lu Qinsha, hearing his own name, was a bit bewildered. Unsure why he was included, but he quickly followed. After arriving in a side hall with the others, Lu Chongqing first turned to his son Lu Qinsha and said, "Qinsha, I have some iron fire ants here for you, take good care of them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1185. Amidst the conversation he gently raised his hand and gave the iron fire ant larvae and eggs he had obtained from the myriad beasts mountain range. Iron fire ants. When Lu Qinsha heard this, his expression immediately showed surprise and delight as he bowed with hands clasped. "Thank you, father. Your son will definitely cultivate these iron fire ants well." He had seen these iron fire ants on the strange insect list before. Although they were ranked quite low, the fact that they made the list meant they were not ordinary. Once they swarm in their thousands, they become very troublesome. Even Foundation establishment cultivators would find it difficult to stop them. If there were tens of thousands of them, even nascent soul cultivators would have a headache. The larvae and eggs in front of him were densely packed like a round ball, estimated to be nearly 1,000 of them. If cultivated properly, allowing them to breed continuously, in the future they could definitely swarm in tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. You first hatch and cultivate them normally. If there are any issues, come to me anytime. Lu Chongqing said aloud. Although the iron fire ants live in a very harsh environment, with an insect nest bag and an ancient beast taming charm, it wouldn't be a problem. However, he plans to wait until the spirit vein is upgraded before planting the golden fire vine tree. "Yes, father." Lu Qinsha respectfully replied. "Do you have the ancient beast taming charm on you?" Lu Chongqing continued to ask. "It's here." Lu Qinsha hurriedly handed over the ancient beast taming charm. After looking at it, Lu Chongqing handed him a storage bag, saying, "Put all the spirit stones and spiritual materials inside this storage bag into the charm." Previously, due to limited resources, his Blackwater Jiaolong spirit weapon could only grow slowly with time. Now that he has money, he naturally plans to quickly cultivate the first batch of second-order Jiaolong Dao troops. "Yes, father." Lu Qinsha obediently replied. "All right, you can go back now. Notify me when the first second-order Jiaolong Dao troops appear." Lu Chongqing said aloud. Your son takes his leave. In the presence of Lu Chongqing, his father, Lu Qinsha still felt a certain restraint and awe. When he stepped out of the side hall and looked at the storage bag in his hand, he took a deep breath in shock. So many spirit stones and so many crystal cores, heavenly and earthly treasures, this must be worth over 10,000 spirit stones? Lu Qinsha was extremely astonished and realized that his father seemed richer than he had imagined. But regarding these resources, he dared not have the slightest greedy thought, nor would he act on greed. By Lake Mountain, he not only had Lu Chongqing as a father but also a mother who was rarely seen on regular days. This mother was somewhat cold toward him, only telling him to listen more to his father's words, but every time they met she would give him many cultivation resources. Without these, relying solely on the benefits of By Lake Mountain, he would not have been able to cultivate so many spiritual insects. Xianxia the novel. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Qinsha, here, take one, I'll take one too. At this moment, Lu Lingyi saw Lu Qinsha handed him a spirit stone, and then put one into his own waste storage bag. Thank you, Xiaohe. Lu Qinsha grinned as he took the spirit stone. A middle-grade spirit stone is equal to 100 lower-grade spirit stones, which was not a small amount for him. But after seeing the storage bag his father gave him, he suddenly felt that this spirit stone was somewhat bland. Once I break through to Foundation establishment, I should be able to quickly earn spirit stones when I go out for training, right? Lu Qinsha pondered in his heart. Hehe, you're welcome. Lu Lingyi grinned and went on to share spirit stones in a cute manner, looking to see who in the family had not come to receive them, and proactively distributed the spirit stones. In the side hall. Pingon, how is everything with the Commerce Association now? Lu Chongqing looked at his tall and burly, handsome and rugged eldest son and asked. Father, everything is ready now. Lu Pingan's voice was deep. 6 months ago, the Lu family had already settled the establishment of the Commerce Association, and after much preparation, even had involved family holdings such as Qingzhou Mountain, Hundred Birds Lake and the Ironwood Forest. Now they were just waiting for Lu Chongqing to give the go-ahead. Good, since that's the case, you can pick a time yourself. Lu Chongqing stated. After speaking, he examined Lu Pingon for a moment, then asked, Pingon, your 100 refinements treasure body art should be close to breaking through, right? It should be another 2 or 3 years. Lu Pingon scratched his head and said, 2 or 3 years? Lu Chongqing slightly raised his eyebrows, stepped forward and placed his palm on his son's shoulder to check the condition of his physical body. After a short while he said, in the coming times stay in by Lake Mountain, and father will prepare a medicinal bath for you. After bathing and receiving the blessing, you can directly break through to the 8th level. Thank you, father. Lu Pingon immediately bowed in gratitude. The 100 refinements treasure body art at the 8th level? The others looked towards their big brother. Especially Lu Lingxiao. He was cultivating the 100 refinements treasure body art. He knew what it meant to reach the 8th level of this cultivation technique. His big brother was only at the initial stage of foundation establishment, and his body refinement was about to reach quasi-3rd order? Take this spiritual beast. Lu Chongqing handed over a beast control token and a spiritual pet bag to Lu Pingon, saying, this spiritual beast has been tamed before, but it is ferocious, filled with wildness, and taming it would require some time and effort. See if you can tame it. If you can, it will be your spiritual pet. Lu Chongqing spoke. Inside was the 2nd order spiritual beast, the silver-winged golden falcon that he had acquired previously. As for this spiritual beast, Lu Chongqing himself had no particular desires and was too lazy to spend time slowly refining and taming it. Currently, among his children, only Lu Pingon had the strength to tame it. It would be apt as a mount for him since he liked to travel to Rui Prefecture. Thank you, father. Lu Pingon took the spiritual pet bag, curious to see what kind of spiritual beast was inside. Suddenly he saw a majestic, elegant and ferocious-looking falcon shining in a golden luster. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1186. Its eagle eyes were penetrating and the lightning-like wings shimmered with a cold, silvery gloss. Lu Chongqing waved his hand, signaling that he could leave, then stepped forward to check the cultivation levels of his 5 children. For Lu Lingxiao, Lu Xingchen, reaching foundation establishment would surely be no issue. It all depends on whether they can condense a suitable Dao foundation. As for Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen and Lu Qingsong, the situation is quite dire, extremely dire. Although daughter Lu Caizhen possesses a 5th grade spiritual root. But her cultivation practice is inconsistent, fishing for 3 days and drying the nets for 2. Her temperament and comprehension are quite mediocre. You all should take this time to properly adjust your condition at home. Later on your father will prepare a medicinal bath for you. After bathing, you can attempt foundation establishment, Lu Chongqing declared aloud. The trip to slay the Demon King and prepare for the medicinal bath, of course, was not just for my son Lu Lingxiao, it was for everyone. It's just that in Lu Lingxiao's case the potency of the medicine can be stronger. Yes, father. Thank you, father. Upon hearing this, joy spread across everyone's faces as they respectfully answered. Afterward, Lu Chongqing inquired into any doubts they had about their cultivation and offered them guidance one by one. All right, it's just foundation establishment, no need to be too nervous. Lu Chongqing waved his hand dismissively, speaking casually as he walked out of the side hall with his children. However, although he said that, Lu Yun, Lu Caizhen and Lu Qingsong were still somewhat anxious. Usually it's nothing much for one person to reach foundation establishment. But now, with 5 people in the family attempting foundation establishment at the same time, it would be thoroughly embarrassing if everyone else succeeded but you failed. Moreover, it seems that there has never been a failure in foundation establishment in our family before, has there? If I became the first one in the family to fail at foundation establishment, I'm afraid it would be recorded in the family's book of shame. In the evening, Lu Chongqing had the family prepare a banquet for a family reunion dinner. Although the family has so many wives and children that a single hall could not hold them all. Citage novel, Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But this kind of family banquet is mainly to let the children of the household gather together more often and share their feelings. The next day. Shower, I remember that within your vermilion bird sky scorching art there's the fire-absorbing technique, correct? Lu Chongqing approached his son Lu Lingxiao, ready to help him refine the heavenly spiritual fire. Right. Lu Lingxiao nodded slightly, roughly guessing what his father intended to do. His mother Ling Zixiao had previously mentioned the matter of the heavenly spiritual fire to him. Let's go, now that your father has some free time, I will help you refine the heavenly spiritual fire. Lu Chongqing promptly took Lu Lingxiao to find his wife Lu Miaoge. After all, his son was only at the qi refinement realm, and refining such heavenly spiritual fire is quite dangerous, so it would be much safer with Lu Miaoge's protection. My lord, shower is only in qi refinement. Shouldn't we wait until after foundation establishment to refine it? Ling Zixiao was somewhat surprised to see Lu Chongqing ready to help his son refine the heavenly spiritual fire. One must know that this vein of heavenly spiritual fire is so fierce and domineering that even she dare not refine it lightly, let alone her son Lu Lingxiao. Shower has the dragon roar physique. Refining this heavenly spiritual fire now will cleanse his marrow and shear his hair, forging an even stronger foundation. Besides, with me and Sister Miaoge watching over, nothing will go wrong, Lu Chongqing smiled and said. Then looking at Lu Miaoge he said, Sister Miaoge, later on use the Tai True Water to protect Shower's meridians and Dantian. Lu Miaoge, with her gentle and beautiful appearance, softly smiled and answered. Thank you, Father, Aunt. Lu Lingxiao bowed with his hands clasped, knowing his father was forging a perfect foundation base for him. The process later might be a bit painful. Lu Changsheng's palm gently lifted, taking out a porcelain bottle containing second-rank fire seed, and spoke aloud. Father, rest assured I can bear it. Upon hearing this, Lu Lingxiao's face immediately took on a firm expression. Good, truly worthy of being my son Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing laughed and released the fire seed from the ice jade porcelain bottle. The originally calm black flame burst forth with a pft and swelled up spontaneously, filling the air and sending the temperature soaring, unbearably scorching hot. Such a fearsome heavenly spiritual fire. No wonder the Ming family patriarch chose to sell this heavenly spiritual fire. A foundation establishment cultivator attempting to subdue this spiritual fire would likely face a life and death struggle. Ling Zixiao watched the fiercely burning, destructive flame and mused to herself, only then realizing that the previous containment by the ice crystal bottle had suppressed the true might of this heavenly spiritual fire. Heavenly spiritual fire. If a second-rank heavenly spiritual fire is so astonishing, how domineering must a third-rank spiritual fire be? Lu Lingxiao stepped back involuntarily in the face of the scorching wave of heat, feeling his entire body unbearably hot. Humph! Lu Chongqing saw this, snorted coldly, and with long jade-like hands he caught the mass of black fire in his palm. The black fire surged, filling the space and seemed ready to engulf Lu Chongqing. However, with a pft from Lu Changsheng's hand, a purple-red flame resembling a flood dragon erupted, causing the black flame to retreat and jump around erratically. Although such heavenly spiritual fire lacks spiritual intelligence, it still has the instinctive will of living beings. Between different heavenly spiritual fires, there exists a natural drive to devour each other. Thus, this strain of black spiritual fire felt an inherent dread in the face of the Thundergang dragon flame. Is this also a heavenly spiritual fire? Seeing the purple-red dragon-like flame in his father's hand, Lu Lingxiao asked with a hint of surprise and doubt. For some reason he felt a strange, throbbing sensation from the flame in his father's hand, not fear but a kind of affinity. Yes, this too is a heavenly spiritual fire, Lu Chongqing confirmed to his son. Then he gripped the black fire seed in his hand, suppressed it with the Thundergang dragon flame until only a faint wisp of the fire seed's origin source remained. Sister Miaoge. Lu Chongqing looked toward Lu Miaoge, signaling her to proceed. Immediately, Lu Miaoge gently raised her hand, glowing with a deep blue luster, and placed her palm on Lu Lingxiao's back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1187, Shower. Lu Chongqing looked at Lu Lingxiao and with a slash on his palm fresh blood flowed, then he placed the black fire seed into his hand. Hiss! Lu Lingxiao instantly felt a scorching pain in his palm, as if he had touched a red-hot branding iron, and he sharply inhaled a breath of cool air. The moment the black fire seed fell into Lu Lingxiao's hand, it instantly surged with a fierce and scorching flame, threatening to engulf Lu Lingxiao and even resisting the absorption of his blood. Humph! Seeing this, Lu Chongxing channeled his yin-yang magic power and forcibly merged the black fire seed with his son's blood. As the blood merged with the fire seed, the rising black flames gradually subsided, eventually condensing into a thumb-sized red fire seed. Right after, Lu Chongxing enveloped his son's body with mana, signaling him to start the next step. Yes. Lu Lingxia's skin was red and burning hot, with sweat beads covering his forehead. He looked at the fire seed before him, hesitated for a moment and then clenched his teeth and swallowed it. Ah! The next moment, Lu Lingxia's eyes bulged, and his sharp-contoured handsome face immediately twisted ferociously. Pain. It was excruciating. The black fire seed entered his body and in an instant, a scorching and violent surge of black flame like magma poured into his limbs and bones. Had it not been for his father's mana protecting his body, he felt he would have been burnt to ashes in an instant. Even so, it still felt as if there was an additional furnace of flame within him. The intensely fierce black flames flowed like magma, burning and searing every inch of his flesh, skin, muscles, and even spiritual power, causing unbearable pain. Fortunately, there was a gentle warm current that dissipated much of the heat, sparing him from such agony. Ling Zixiao watched this scene without making a sound. But in her bright eyes, there was a bit of tension and worry. Sar the novel at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The process of refinement of the heavenly spiritual fire is extremely dangerous. A slight mishap could lead to backlash from the fire seed, at lightest causing severe injury or near death, at worst turning one into ashes. Like this black flame, inherently fierce and scorching, it's not something an energy refining cultivator could withstand. If it weren't for Lu Chongxing, no matter how gifted, an energy refining cultivator could only dream of subduing and refining it. Shower cultivate. Lu Chongxing helped his son suppress and refine the black flame. Yes. Lu Lingxia's voice was a bit hoarse and dry as he fully engaged the fire-absorbing technique. Hum hum hum. As the heavenly spiritual fire circulated through Lu Lingxia's meridians, his dragon roar physique slowly woke up, with a fierce and intense yang energy rising and spreading, suppressing the black flames. However, Lu Chongxing could clearly sense that this dragon roar of yang energy had flaws, and was inferior to his own. But it's still okay. Lu Chongxing muttered to himself upon seeing this scene. Although the dragon roar physique had its flaws, it still had the effect it was supposed to have. Lu Lingxiao also realized that his spiritual body was helping to refine the black flames. And as the black flames circulated through his body, there seemed to be some inexplicable changes. However, at this moment his body was so hot and prickly that he had no time to pay attention to this. And so time trickled by. Lu Lingxia's body was glowing red, enveloped in a fiercely hot black flame light. The yin-yang magic power steadily protected Lu Lingxia's body, meridians, dantian, and internal organs. The Tai True water then gently nourished every inch of his flesh and skin that was tormented and scorched by the heat. It was hard to tell how much time had passed, but gradually the fire subsided. Inside Lu Lingxia's Qi Ocean core, a black fire seed slowly circled. This origin flame seed, under the fusion with dragon roar of yang energy, within the depths of its pitch-black flames, seemed to glow with a hint of gold. Lu Lingxiao gasped heavily, his mouth dry and his lips parched. However, his heart was filled with immense joy, knowing that the most painful stage had been endured. What followed was to completely refine the origin flame seed into his physical body. During this process, his 100 refinements treasure body art began to operate wildly, causing the magical treasure's origin in his chest to flow out continuously, merging into his internal organs and limbs and bones. Phew! Ling Zixiao, who was beside him, also let out a sigh of relief upon seeing her son's condition. Knowing that her son had crossed the most difficult step. Even though the next steps were still dangerous with Lu Chongxing and Lu Miaoge being there, they were not a concern anymore. Time passed slowly. It was unclear how much time had gone by when Lu Lingxiao finally refined the black fire seed. Boom! His physical body surged with a fiercely hot, destructive, and dilapidated aura of black flames. Simultaneously, Lu Lingxiao's qi blood within his body surged like breaching rivers, forming a dazzling pillar of rainbow light, with a flow of treasure's brilliance. Lu Chongqing knew that this was his son's 100 refinements treasure body technique breaking through from the 4th layer to the 5th layer. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1188. Dad, Mother, Auntie. Lu Lingxiao's eyes opened, his pupils bursting with twin beams of golden light, emitting an overwhelmingly strong aura. His tall and upright body burned with an obscure black flame, adding a touch of coldness, majesty, and dominance to his entire being. Ah, not bad. Lu Chongqing looked at his son's condition, nodding his head in satisfaction. Through refining the heavenly spiritual fire, not only has his son washed the marrow and shaved the hair, breaking through to the 2nd rank in body refinement, but his foundation has also advanced further. Shower, this spiritual fire has yet to be named. You should give it a name yourself. Ling Zixiao, with her bright and clear eyes, observed the black flame burning on her son's body and said with a light chuckle, "There are numerous kinds of heavenly spiritual fires. Apart from a few well-known ones, most remain unnamed." After a moment of contemplation, Lu Lingxiao said, "This spiritual fire brims with a sense of destruction and havoc. Why not call it Devastation Flame?" Devastation Flame, that's quite good. Ling Zixiao smiled faintly. "Shower, you should go back and rest well for now, and after some time, you can begin challenging the foundation establishment," Lu Chongqing said to his son Lu Lingxiao. His son had just finished refining the Devastation Flame and was in a very weak state, needing good rest. "Yes, Dad. Mother, Auntie, I take my leave." The flames on Lu Lingxiao's body slowly dissipated, his skin appeared dehydrated and somewhat cracked, like that of a shedding snake, revealing an old layer of skin. This was the physical body experiencing a transformation inside out, a true marrow cleansing, metamorphosis to a higher form. "Thank you for your hard work, my lord Miaoge." At this moment, Ling Zixiao also spoke to Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge. "We're all family, Sister Ling, there's no need for such formalities," Lu Miaoge said with a soft smile. The group chatted with laughter for a while, then Lu Chongqing, accompanied by Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge, began preparing the medicinal bath. This method of concocting a medicinal bath had long been taught to Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge. However, this time the medicinal bath was extraordinary, using the blood essence of a 3rd-rank demon king as the main ingredient, requiring his supervision. At the same time, an announcement was made by the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family to the outside world. They stated that they possess a 2nd-order alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixirs with a special monster core and guaranteed the formation of at least one pill. If unsuccessful, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family would provide full compensation. Not only is the refining service free, but Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is also offering cultivators, including loose cultivators, cave mansion facilities for attempting foundation establishment. Simply provide 3,000 spirit stones or agree to serve as a visiting noble servant at Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, and you could attempt foundation establishment there. No sooner had this news been released than it spread rapidly like a whirlwind, drawing numerous discussions. The announcement was shocking. In the entire Jiang country cultivation realm, other than the 4 great immortal sects, only Daoist Mountain and the 3 great immortal cities have such alchemists. Ordinary cultivators seeking to have foundation establishment elixirs refined would typically need to travel to one of the 3 great immortal cities. For energy refining cultivators who have somehow gathered the materials for a foundation establishment elixir, the journey to the 3 great immortal cities is far, and the risk of being attacked along the way is a concern. Moreover, even in the 3 great immortal cities, obtaining an audience with these alchemists and hiring someone to perform the alchemy requires the right connections and wealth. But now, with Blue Lake Mountain Lu family offering free alchemy, guaranteed pill formation and providing a place for breakthroughs, the offer is simply enticing. Especially for some family forces. They have by chance obtained heavenly spirit fruits or special monster cores but have been afraid to visit the immortal cities. Having the option of Blue Lake Mountain Lu family nearby makes things much simpler. Nevertheless, many people remained skeptical and suspicious of the announcement. What? Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has a 2nd-order alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixirs and even guarantees at least one successful pill? No wonder Blue Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain have produced several foundation establishment great cultivators in recent years. Turns out they have such an alchemist in the family. Such a top-tier alchemist not seeking fame in the immortal cities but hiding away in the small Blue Lake Mountain Lu family? My third aunt's cousin's sister is a concubine of the Lu family patriarch, and I heard that this alchemist is also one of Lu Changsheng's concubines. What? Such an alchemist being someone's concubine? How charismatic must this Lu family patriarch be? Damn it, what kind of love luck has Lu Changsheng stumbled upon? Remember, his wife is a top-tier formation master and now he has a top-tier alchemist. I wonder if this is true. Has any Daoist tried it out? If I go there, Blue Lake Mountain won't rob and kill me, right? If Blue Lake Mountain dares to make this announcement, it probably won't be false. Right? Blue Lake Mountain tends to act honorably, valuing reputation, and wouldn't tarnish their name for such a slight. In the vicinity of Blue Lake Mountain, countless people discussed the matter, generating a buzz about the event. And the news continued to spread, quickly reaching throughout the Qingyun region. After all, Blue Lake Mountain has quite a reputation in the Qingyun region boundary, enjoying a period of great prominence. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Now that a rare alchemist capable of producing foundation establishment elixirs had emerged in the family, they naturally attracted immediate attention. At the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Refining foundation establishment elixirs. Blue Lake Mountain Lu family does indeed have an alchemist who can refine them. Lu Yuanzhong and others thought to themselves upon hearing the news. In earlier years, when Lu Changxing had sold foundation establishment elixirs at a bargain, they had harbored suspicions. Refining foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Yuanding, with his hair grayed by time, sat in the courtyard, hearing the news without much concern. To see Qingzhou Mountain reach such heights was enough for him. He was content and no longer worried about family affairs, not considering seeking any advantage from Blue Lake Mountain before death. Moreover, doing such a thing would be detrimental to the relationship between the two families. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1189. Besides, there's Qing Shan and Xianer. Lu Yuanding gazed at the figure before him, clad in green robes, with a handsome visage and the air of a humble gentleman. Lu Qingxian, his eyes old and cloudy, revealing a touch of gratified amusement. His eldest grandson, Lu Qingshan, harbored a deep affection for Qingzhou Mountain, and with him there, it was certain that the mountain would receive protection should it face great peril in the future. The young grandson before him, Lu Qingxian, had yet not come of age. But after asking his daughter Lu Miaoga, he knew this grandson possessed a third-grade spiritual root. With such talent, he believed that under Lu Changsheng's tutelage, Xianer would certainly reach foundation establishment and make significant progress in his cultivation. Given Lu Qingchuan's character, as long as there were no major breaches of principle within the family, he would not sit idly by and watch Qingzhou Mountain decline. So, not to speak of Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Pingon and others, just these two grandsons alone could safeguard Qingzhou Mountain for 200 years. 200 years. Lu Yuanding murmured to himself, imagining the day when his grandson Lu Qingshan would become a nascent soul immortal. Although the chances of Lu Qingxian with his third-grade spiritual root reaching core formation were slim, given his son-in-law Lu Changsheng's abilities, it was not impossible. Moreover, even if he did not become a nascent soul immortal, there was still a considerable chance he would achieve false core immortal status in the future. "Grandfather, what's the matter?" Lu Qingxian, seeing his grandfather's smiling gaze upon him, set down the book in hand and asked in a refined and elegant manner. "Nothing much, grandfather was just thinking about some happy things. Where has Chair gone?" Lu Yuanding, his aged face full of wrinkles, chuckled as he spoke. "Sister Wang Shu came by yesterday and sister went out to have fun with her." Lu Qingxian spoke in a gentle voice that felt as comforting as a spring breeze. Although his sister came to Qingzhou Mountain to accompany their grandfather, her active nature meant she often ran about here and there. "Xianer, you should also interact more with your siblings in the family," Lu Yuanding gently advised his grandson. 100 Birds Lake by Family. Sar the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If Blue Lake Mountain can refine foundation establishment elixirs, I wonder if there are any spare ones that our family could request. Upon hearing this news, Bai Yunyang, the Bai family ancestor, pondered to himself. Back then, when the four major families dominated and Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain was replaced by the Lu family, it has since become a renowned foundation establishment clan within the Qingyun region. Qingzhou Mountain, due to its connection with Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, now also has 3 foundation establishment cultivators as its stronghold. Wugong Ridge Xing family has been thoroughly reduced to a vassal of Yu Shui Su family. Despite their association with Blue Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain and benefiting from their successes, the 100 Birds Lake Bai family has never been able to obtain a foundation establishment elixir. Over the past decades, there have been 2 people in the family who, supported by Meridian protecting elixirs and foundation establishment spirit objects, attempted to achieve foundation establishment, but both failed, leaving the whole family with only him as its guardian. Now hearing this news, he thought about swallowing his pride and appealing to the goodwill of the 2 families for a foundation establishment elixir. Ah Ming, send a message to Feifei right away to verify this news, Bai Yunyang ordered. After saying this, he immediately stepped out of his cave mansion, adding, "No, I'll personally go to Bai Lake Mountain." Many families had similar thoughts as Bai Yunyang. They all realized that if Blue Lake Mountain had such an alchemist, they would have been secretly purchasing special monster cores over the years for refining foundation establishment elixirs. Thus, they contemplated spending spirit stones or offering heavenly and earthly treasures in exchange for a foundation establishment elixir. Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family. Blue Lake Mountain. Upon hearing the news, the patriarch of the Jin family immediately convened a family meeting, because he was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. The Lu family guaranteed a successful pill formation for 1 pill. However, no one can be sure of the exact number of successful pill formations during the alchemical process. If there are 2 successful pills, one of them would belong to Blue Lake Mountain. In this case, Blue Lake Mountain would essentially have a continuous source of foundation establishment elixirs. Particularly when he learned that Blue Lake Mountain was willing to provide loose cultivators with a venue for foundation establishment, requiring only a payment of 3,000 spirit stones, or to serve as a visiting noble servant in the Lu family. Such an offer is the dream of countless loose cultivators. If this continues, within a few years, the power of Blue Lake Mountain will likely soar at a terrifying rate. Damn it, where did Lu Chongxing get this top-tier alchemist from? With such an alchemist, in at most 20 years, Blue Lake Mountain will grow into a behemoth. What to do? Should we consider assassinating this alchemist? How could Lu Chongxing not protect such an alchemist well? In the council hall, the Jin family's high-ranking members all wore grim expressions. Although Golden Dragon Ridge seemed to have no deep hatred with Blue Lake Mountain, their past actions of suppression and provocation had already created grudges between the 2 families. This enmity was almost impossible to resolve. So they all understood that once Blue Lake Mountain's strength amassed enough, they would certainly settle the old scores with the Jin family. Should we inform the family patriarch and have him make a decision? Someone suggested at that moment. No, the family patriarch is currently concentrating on nurturing his magical treasures. If he hears this news, I'm afraid it will affect his cultivation. The patriarch of the Jin family immediately rejected the suggestion. After their family patriarch was nearly overpowered by demon cultivators during his fight with Lu Chongxing and his wife, he was almost beset by a heart demon. Now just hearing anything related to Lu Chongxing was enough to disturb his peace of mind. Hearing this news might truly drive him to ambush and kill Lu Chongxing or that alchemist. Damn it, if only our family patriarch hadn't been killed by a demon cultivator, with 2 false core immortals from our Jin family holding the fort, we wouldn't have to fear a Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. A Jin family elder spoke bitterly. The Jin family collected resources for decades, finally waiting for Jin Zan to break through to false core, bringing the family to its peak. But before they could start reveling in their newfound status, their family patriarch was killed by a demon cultivator in Huji Ridge, resulting in severe damage to the family's vitality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1190. As the years have passed, the Jin family has still not recovered from the pain of the past. There's no hurry regarding this matter. I'll first send someone to investigate this alchemist's information to verify the situation. Moreover, it's not only our Jin family who is anxious about this. The other major families are unlikely to want to see Bai Lake Mountain continue to grow like this. The patriarch of the Jin family said in a deep voice. Indeed, Lu Chongqing and his wife Lu Miaoge from Bai Lake Mountain are already equivalent to a false core immortal. Nobody wants to see their family continuously produce foundation establishment cultivators. The main issue is that Lu Chongqing has grown too quickly. His rise has been too smooth. In any case, we absolutely cannot allow the Lu family to continue to grow in this manner. I have heard that the Lu family has established a trade association. This move is likely also to lay the groundwork for the association. With such alchemists, countless family forces would want to form ties with Bai Lake Mountain. The senior members of the Jin family discussed animatedly, realizing that although the Lu family's news is showy, sticking out from the flock, it also brings countless benefits to the family. After all, even if all families know that Bai Lake Mountain is on the rise, as long as there are no direct conflicts of interest, no one wants to tear their face off with Bai Lake Mountain and confront them directly. Sitage novel, Ire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ordinary foundation establishment families wouldn't concern themselves with whether Bai Lake Mountain rises or not. Now they would only actively seek to build good relations with Bai Lake Mountain and try to gain benefits as much as they can. Moreover, with such established relations, they wouldn't provoke Bai Lake Mountain in the future and avoid bringing about the disaster of extinction. Sigh. After a long discussion among the high-ranking members of the Jin family, they realized that the most urgent concern for their family is the rise of Bai Lake Mountain, and all fell into silence. Bai Lake Mountain. In recent times, many family forces and even loose cultivators have been visiting Bai Lake Mountain to verify the matter of producing foundation establishment elixirs and possibly wishing to purchase a foundation establishment elixir. In this matter, Lu Chongqing did not involve himself, instead fully delegating it to his son Lu Xingyang. However, whenever a foundation establishment ancestor visits, Lu Miaoyun, the prominent lady of the Lu family aside from Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, and Ling Zixiao of the elder foundation establishment generation, would still come out to receive them. Facing these visitors, Lu Miaoyun and Lu Xingyang affirmed that everything was true. They will offer a foundation establishment cave abode to those who came to perform alchemy, provided their background is clear, and Bai Lake Mountain would keep it confidential. However, during the foundation establishment process, if any enemy attacks and causes the foundation establishment to fail, Bai Lake Mountain would not be responsible. As for those wanting to purchase a foundation establishment elixir, Lu Miaoyun uniformly declared that they had none. She very clearly understood that at this time, if the Lu family were to produce a foundation establishment elixir, countless people would swarm here, demanding the elixir for various reasons. It might even attract some bloodthirsty heretic cultivators who would come to kidnap the Lu family's disciples, among others. Taking this opportunity, Lu Miaoyun also declared that their family was in long-term acquisition of materials and spiritual objects for producing foundation establishment elixirs. And she posted a purchasing order. It indicated that if anyone had rare items listed on the purchasing order, Bai Lake Mountain would be willing to prioritize trading with them if they have foundation establishment elixirs in the future. Although this is akin to drawing a pie in the sky. Yet with the allure of the foundation establishment elixirs and thinking of offering a favor, many still took note of the purchasing order content, planning to return and keep an eye out to help. Lu Chongqing was not very aware of these external matters and did not pay much attention to them. After roughly preparing the medicinal bath for Lu Pingan, Lu Lingxiao and others, he instructed Ling Zixiao to take a mountain and river cauldron to upgrade the Biyun Peak spiritual vein. Then he went to the alchemy room to start teaching Li Xingrua how to produce foundation establishment elixirs. The news of producing foundation establishment elixirs being shared could not mean all such elixirs would be refined by him alone. Hence it was necessary to teach Li Xingrua. In the cultivation world, few people could craft foundation establishment elixirs, not because crafting them is incredibly difficult. It's because the practice cost of foundation establishment elixirs is too high, with materials being too rare, effectively discouraging 90% of alchemists. However, Li Xingrua has decent talent in alchemy, already barely capable of producing second-order superior elixir medicines, and has seen Lu Chongqing craft foundation establishment elixirs multiple times. With Lu Changsheng's guidance, starting to practice now wouldn't result in too much loss. Inside the lakeside island alchemy room. Hoo. 3 pill furnaces were situated with Lu Changsheng managing one furnace, directly refining 3 batches of elixir medicines. However, one batch was controlled by Li Xingruo, who observed Lu Changsheng's process first and then tried it himself. With slight issues, Lu Changsheng would speak out to instruct and attempt to remedy. Once the Biyun Peak spiritual vein ascends to becoming a second-order top grade, a tributary can be cultivated nearby, integrating the earthly malevolent fire vein into it, and this spirit mountain can be used to plant fire mulberry trees, golden fire vine trees, and also to construct an alchemy workshop. In this way, our family can manage to refine 9 batches of elixir medicines simultaneously. Lu Changsheng stared at the pill furnace in front of him, which was fiercely burning with earth fire, contemplating inwardly. Operating 3 pill furnaces at the same time was not his limit. With his current level of divine sense, even refining 9 furnaces of elixir medicines simultaneously would not be a big problem. However, the main attribute of the Bai Lake Mountain spirit vein is water. The earth-fire formation in this alchemy room at home really is limited in power, unable to support too much earth fire for the furnaces. And his Thundergang dragon flame is too fierce, only suitable for artifact refining and not quite fit for alchemy. Xingruo, don't be nervous, this step needs to be smooth, otherwise during the fusion process of the elixir, it's easy for the potency to become unbalanced. At this moment, Lu Changsheng saw in Li Xingruo's pill furnace, under the intense flames, a foundation establishment elixir taking on an irregular formative shape, and he spoke out to advise. While speaking, he gently lifted his palm, helping her adjust the fire intensity, and casting multiple spells to allow the medicine to bake slowly and become rounded. Now by employing the elemental sealing alchemy technique to temper the elixir, temper each time for 3 breaths, pause for 9 breaths, totaling 81 times. Lu Changsheng multitasked, controlling his own pill furnace while also advising Li Xingruo. Originally, when he first obtained the second-rank alchemy, although Lu Changsheng's alchemy skills were very skilled, he was still unable to do this effortlessly and magically. This was entirely the effect of his enhanced cultivation level, breaking through core formation and awakening the Tai divine soul. If he were willing to spend the time, immersing himself to further his research in alchemy and puppetry techniques to ascend to the 3rd rank wouldn't be too hard. Li Xingruo, serious and focused, nodded but was still a bit nervous. After all, this is a foundation establishment elixir we are talking about. One batch alone is worth tens of thousands of spirit stones. After a long time, bang, the foundation establishment elixirs from the 3 pill furnaces are successfully produced. In the 2 pill furnaces in front of Lu Changsheng, 6 foundation establishment elixirs appear, 3 top grade and 3 top quality. Li Xingruo, due to several issues occurring during the process, although remedied by Lu Changsheng, ended up with only 2 inferior elixirs and 1 failed elixir. To be able to successfully produce 2 elixirs on your first attempt at refining foundation establishment elixirs, Xingruo, your talent in alchemy truly is exceptional. Lu Changsheng said with a chuckle. Although the inferior foundation establishment elixirs only increase the probability of foundation establishment by 10%. For a regular loose cultivator, they are still immensely priceless. If taken to the Red Leaf Valley market for an auction, they might fetch up to 10,000 spirit stones. So these 2 inferior foundation establishment elixirs are not too bad of a deal. Husband, stop teasing her. Li Xingruo is well aware that she was able to preserve these 2 inferior foundation establishment elixirs thanks to the continual corrections by Lu Changsheng. Otherwise, how could she have even reached this pill formation stage? What I've said is the truth. Just a few more batches and my Xingruo will definitely be able to produce top-quality foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Changsheng's voice was gentle with a smile on his face. Li Xingruo, looking at Lu Changsheng's exceptionally handsome face, her eyes full of admiration, affection and sweetness, softly nodded. Now that the elixirs are made, we can also start the foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng collected the foundation establishment elixirs in his hand, exhaling softly, somewhat looking forward to the advanced draw after his 10 children's foundation establishment. However, just at this moment, a system notification sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host. 20 offspring have broken through the 9th level energy refinement. obtaining one lottery opportunity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible.